Hello.
Hey, friends.
I'm working on things. No.
Jason is working on getting his overhead camera situated.
Control for HDMI. Oh. Why? Why you do this? Why you not work? Why don't you? That'd be dumb. Control for HDMI. Now I'm at the point of just like smashing random buttons, which is probably not the best thing to do. But
You want behind the scenes. This is behind the scenes, everybody.
It doesn't make any sense. It's like I never touched this setup except for Tuesday nights. The last time I was up here, it worked. And now it's just like, no, I'm going to show you a black screen. So that's all I get on my overhead camera. It's just weird. Ghosts in the machine. Let's see here. Is it like a fiddly cable or something? Or I don't know. I just don't get it. I want it to work though. That much I know. I could do split. It's not a bad little device. I mean, it's pretty basic but flexible.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, it would be cooler if there was a camera.
It'd be cooler if that thing worked.
Yeah, it'd be cooler if
the
there
actual
was a
camera worked. Yeah, that would be the coolest. That would make me like it more if it did that at the baseline. It does all the other things that I don't ever use. No, it's not a new toy, Cousin of Jaw. It's a GoStream M2. It's kind of like a $100. I can't even remember. Maybe it was less than that. I can't remember. But a kind of alternative to the A10 Mini, which is probably more like $300 to $500 range, but a lot more fully featured. And really all I needed was a simple switch between two cameras, which has worked up until today. As you can see, it just goes to a black screen, and I have a cool thing to unbox. So I kind of want to use it, but I'll have to do one of those unboxings where I go like this.
Ooh.
It's just not as cool.
It's never as cool.
Yeah. Oh, well. I don't know what to tell you. I am out of ideas, though. That much is true. Could just be a faulty cable or something. I'll have to track it down. Anyways,
right,
hi, everybody.
Such as such. Hey, everybody.
It's what happens when
Happy,
you work with technology long enough.
Happy Android 16 Day. Ooh, your main
Yeah,
camera,
I guess so.
Your main camera just went black, but then it came
Yeah,
back.
I keep switching, thinking that I'm going to go there, and
Yeah.
it's going to be there. Yeah, check it out. It's liquid glass is what it looks like.
Yeah, it's
Liquid darkness. Imprisoning me, all that I see. Okay. All right, so let's see here. I'll set up the rest of my things. We doing good? We feeling good?
I'm
We
feeling
insane
great.
in the membrane?
It's a beautiful day in New York.
Is
was
it?
Perfect weather. 69 degrees right now.
Oh, wow.
It's gonna get hot again.
Was it that cool all day today?
No, yeah, it was. Yeah, today was not. Well, it rained until like 2:00, and then it got beautiful. But it's been raining for like the past 2 days. But like last week, it was shot up to 85, 87 or whatever, and it's gonna be back up there by Thursday. So enjoying it before it gets hot again.
Yeah, it's been chilly out. I mean, cool. Yeah. It's been very cool here.
Yeah, you're cool.
You're cool.
That's
You're
why.
cool. Oh, guys, I had jury duty yesterday, or rather, I got called.
Oh, you did get called.
jury duty.
Last week was my jury week, and I did not get called.
So I got called in, and then I waited in the waiting room, and then my number got called.
Oh.
My camera looks green, kind of. All right. And then
Yeah, it does look green. Why does
it
it
does
look
look green. I'm gonna fix my lighting. Maybe my lighting's a little green. So I did stay there most of the day, but I did not get selected. I ended up being so they had a bunch of like the main candidates in the jury box and the rest of us in the gallery. And I was in the gallery. I'm very appreciative. I'm very grateful for our democratic process and for like the judicial process. I'm very glad to have been a part of it. I did not want to stay for 4 days to do this trial.
Yeah.
Who does?
But the judge was incredibly nice and tried to make it like as chill and yet professional. I was very impressed by the judge. For what seems to be like a boring process, she tried to make it like, I don't know, fun is like very cheerful of a word, but not like a drag. And she was very, very professional. I did see some people do very interesting things to get out of jury duty, in my opinion.
Yeah,
but that's
pretty
okay.
standard.
Pretty standard stuff. Just be very biased sounding.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe they are.
Yes, cousin of Judge. Did I have a plan to act crazy or something? So I did not have to go through voir dire. I was watching the voir dire, and someone also in the gallery, I believe, I'm still green. I think the light's green. Did say some stuff which would, I think, if taken at face value, would definitely probably excuse them from jury duty, and they in fact were excused. I will note this person said that immediately after finding out that the trial would be 4 days. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
People know what to do.
Yes. But I'm actually, but at the same time, I'm very impressed that even though no one wanted to be there, the people that were there, most of the people that were there, I think were bought into the process and like otherwise, willing to perform their civic duty, which I really appreciated.
Yeah, I actually served on a jury a handful
really?
of years ago, and it ended up being like a 2.5 week case.
Oh
So
my God.
It was a long one.
Holy
It was very
moly.
interesting. I mean, the case wasn't that interesting, but the whole process was very interesting.
Yeah, that was another thing. To be fair, I mean, not that it matters, but that I need to be entertained. But the case did not seem that interesting to me. So, there we go. One of my lights was a little bit.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Looking normal. More normal.
Oh yeah,
Normal.
I wouldn't have minded a 1 day trial just to go through the process, but 4 days, I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I could have done that.
It's so funny. Like now it's been long enough. God, when was that? That must have been like 2019 would be my guess.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's been long enough that it's totally faded. Like I couldn't even tell you the details of the case. But at the time, because I was there for like 2.5 weeks, it was very intricate and I could have told you so much about it. If we got into a conversation about it, it would have been way easy to recite all the details. But now I can hardly even remember what it was about. I mean, I can, but it's very vague.
I guess your brain just dumping excess memory.
Yeah, it
like,
discarded it. It was
you
like, all
don't
right, I
need
did the
this.
thing. Moving on.
I just got tickets to David Byrne at Radio City Music Hall.
Cool.
You
That's
just-
gonna be.
He just
Have you
announced.
been before?
Just announced. I went to I saw a screening of the Stop Making Sense
okay.
documentary last spring, and it was Questlove did a moderated a talk with all the talking heads, which is great. So like I saw him speak, but I've never seen him perform live like that. So
Yeah, I just wonder if his show is the same as it ever was,
Ha 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 ha. Waka waka.
Mike, does this sound any better? Do I sound? I did definitely sound louder in my ears. Hold on. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I had turned you up a little bit in StreamYard, but you definitely moved it more than I was able to.
Okay. Should I move it down or is this good? Is this well? Is this okay? Okay. All right.
TM. Jason Pun TM. Yeah, I saw David Byrne at where was it? It was the Greek Amphitheater in Berkeley.
Nice.
Pretty good.
I really do want to watch
Very eclectic.
the documentary. That was really just a concert. What is it? Oh, they released a relatively new music video for Psycho Killer starring Saoirse Ronan. I was very surprised.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's cute. I mean, I think it's interesting. I think it's like a comment on like mental health and like just day-to-day balance and stuff. No, it's not like a scary thing or anything. It's just, yeah, it's social.
I find her
and fun.
fascinating because like she was like at the did like could have been like the next it girl
I agree.
kind of thing, and then chose like, I'm gonna make a cool little movie. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
kind of opted out of all that, which was I thought really interesting. You know, so
Respect, though. I
Yeah,
mean, I think, yeah, respect.
yep.
So my husband was watching someone talk about Sam Rockwell in a similar way.
Oh, I love Sam Rockwell.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
A friend of mine's a movie producer, and they worked with Sam Rockwell's production company on a short film, and and he's fantastic. He's like as fantastic as you want him to be, you know. So, right. Oh shit! I just realized I need to turn on my light. It's still I'm not used to the sun being out, so. But yeah, Sam Rockwell's he's so great. I love him.
What was that space movie he was in?
Moon.
Moon.
So
Yeah,
good.
that was really good. Yeah, I like that one a lot.
There it is. There's the rest of the.
Okay. Wow. Well, I'm good to go. I think whenever we all are. I got all my things except for the stupid camera that won't go through the system that I keep trying, and it keeps letting me down and disappointing me.
Do I sound wobbly or something?
No, I think once you turned it up, it overmodulated just kind of means a little distorted when you get loud.
Okay,
But I turned down in StreamYard, so hey, you know.
Okay, I'll do my
What
best.
is perfection? I don't know.
If only we had like little like monitors or something
If
that we
only.
could watch. If only, so we didn't have to guess.
Yep, that'd be nice. That'd be really nice.
Thanks, y'all. I'm not in all the chats. I'm not in Twitch right now, but thanks, y'all.
I gotta say, I'm a little tired. I am ready for some sleep tonight.
Brother, yes.
That video that I put out was literally a spur of the moment decision. It was like 9:00 p.m. and I was like, I'm gonna do a video, and then I was
awesome.
up until like 2:30.
Those are the best kind of decisions. Those are the best kind of decisions.
But you know what? But I was like energized, and I was like, I can do this. I can turn this around pretty fast. And I mean,
And you did.
yeah, I mean, it was exhausting. By the end of it, I was like, okay, I just need to go to sleep. I will finish this in the morning. And I didn't have very much to do in the morning, but so yeah, I did. But it, you know, how many end of year minutes did I shave off my life?
Right. Yeah, good question. By doing that.
By doing that.
One, just one.
Just one.
Just one.
Okay, well, maybe worth it then. Anyways, thanks, Sean. It's the spray and pray approach, Sean. My TikToks are spray and pray.
I mean, what more does? I mean, yeah.
I mean, one of them's going off right now. One of them just passed 110,000.
Awesome.
You know? You just and you don't know when that's going to happen. So it's kind of like you just put out a bunch of them, and then finally one will just go pop. So yeah, it's pretty sweet when that happens. All right. Oh, 115 actually. Yay. Okay. Should we do a show?
Let's do a show.
Maybe. Just saying,
Let's do
we're
it.
here. We've assembled.
We're here. We're happy. We're a little tired, but we're happy.
Let's do it.
All right. And then when you are doing top of
That's
show
me,
stuff,
top and tail.
stuffy
top
stuff.
and
Tails.
tail.
Okay, so then I will remove Mr. Ron Richards,
Bye-bye.
not to be confused with the comic book Ron Richards. Isn't there a comic book Ron Richards?
Reed Richards.
Oh, I thought there was a Ron Richards, a movie Ron Richards guy.
Nope.
Okay, well I'll look that up because it's super important, but not right now. Okay, you're gone.
We could say that Pedro Pascal would portray Ron in a
Oh, I
Android
can
faithful
see
movies.
that. And I think honestly, Ron would be like stoked about that. He'd be
If
like,
I was
"Yeah."
lucky. If I was lucky enough, yes.
He's great. He's one of my favorites right now. And I know I'm not alone. Everybody loves Pedro Pascal. Okay, I'm going to turn off my camera. I'm going to go over to Hear This Place and turn off loop on the sound. I'm going to hit the overlay, and I'm going to hit the music, and here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Android Faithful. Every week we bring you news. We bring you hardware. We bring you apps. In this wonderful world of Android, I'm back. I'm Huyen Tue Dao.
I'm Jason Howell.
And I'm Ron Richards, and I'm back as well. I was off last week, wasn't I? I was.
Yeah.
You were.
I was, yes.
It's such rotating chairs.
It really is, yeah. No, I had a work thing last week that got in the way, and it was one of those weird things where the clock struck 8 o'clock here in New York, and I was like, I'm supposed to be somewhere. It was that feeling. I wasn't truly disconnected from the show. But I was jealous of missing Flo and Michelle. But Jason, I'm glad to be back with you. And Wynn, I missed you. Have missed you.
I missed you guys too. It's been weird. Busy.
Yes, but it's been a busy and it's an exciting day because this is normally one of the biggest days of the year. When the new version of Android drops.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the day after WWDC. One of the biggest days of the year.
It's kind of surprising how those two kind of
I know.
Those two
it's
kind
almost
of collided.
as if they know and they're in lockstep.
I know, really. But we're going to get to all that in a moment. But first, it's going to be a big day in a couple of weeks, actually, because you might have noticed that it is June 10th and episode 98, which means that we are just 2 episodes away from our 100th episode.
Nice round number.
Which
Gotta
is
love
pretty exciting, yeah.
Yeah.
So we were talking, we were trying to figure out how can we celebrate 2 years of Android Faithful and 100 episodes of Android Faithful, and the best way we thought we could celebrate it was by doing some cool stuff for you all. And so first and foremost, and we're going to
dance.
No. Yeah, we're gonna do a little dance. So there you go. Wynn has a dance that she's been practicing. There it is. So first and foremost, we wanted to remind everybody that you can support us over at patreon.com/AndroidFaithful. And if you've been on the fence about coming over to Android Faithful to celebrate 100 episodes, for the next 2 weeks, we have a special promotion going on. If you go to patreon.com/AndroidFaithful and you use code AF100, you can get 20% off a monthly or annual subscription on your membership, and that's on memberships from the $10 tier or higher. So if you've been on the fence and you're not quite sure, it's a great time to get 20% off. That's a pretty big discount, and which is pretty cool. So that promotion went live tonight, Tuesday, June 10th, and it runs until June 24th, the night that we record the 100th episode. So you've got 2 weeks to kind of decide to do that. And as part of that, we've been so excited about the Android Faithful After Hours that for the next 2 weeks, the next 2 weeks, the next 3 episodes, the Android Faithful After Hours will be released to everyone. We're going to be releasing it, of course, to everyone on Patreon, but we're also going to be sharing it on the main feed. So everyone who is not a supporting member on Patreon will be getting it in their feed, and will be able to listen to it and get a taste of what we've been so excited about. And think of this like our NPR membership drive kind of thing. We've been having so much fun doing it. We wanted to share with everybody to get in on the action. So we're going to give you a little taste of what you can get over the next 2 weeks, and hopefully you folks will want to join us over on the Patreon side. So
we say it each and every week since we've launched it, but it's actually a ton of fun. So if you haven't checked it out, this is a good opportunity for you to kind of see what we're doing in the After Hours show. It truly is an extension of this show, and
it's more content. Just more content.
Yeah.
It helps keeps the lights on for the show, helps us do more. And Jason, me, and Flo had a meeting earlier today. We're talking about stuff we can do in year 3, things we can do over on the website, things we can do here on the podcast, things we can do in other places. So all that takes support. So if you want more Android
Resources.
Faithful and resources, the best way to do it is to help us to support us over at patreon.com/AndroidFaithful or over at AndroidFaithful.com directly. So yeah, and while you're doing it, make sure you sign up for the newsletter over there. We're going to mention that also later in the show. But Flo's doing a great job every Friday sending out a new newsletter on AndroidFaithful.com. But yes, so if you're a regular listener who doesn't do any level of support, you're going to get a little taste of the after hours over the next couple of weeks. We hope you enjoy it. Hope you consider supporting us over on Patreon. And if you want to do it, use code AF100 to get 20% off. And if you're smart, do that annual membership and get 20% off. Maximize your savings. You don't have to worry about it for a whole year, and you get a big chunk of it knocked off your price, which is pretty cool. So,
Woo!
yeah. All right.
Love it.
Cool. Well, that said, let's get to the Android 16 news, because sure enough, Android 16 launched today.
That's why today's a big day.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So as you mentioned, Jason, and we're going to get to it in a little bit also, yesterday was WWDC over in the Apple land, and not to be deterred by the magic of iOS 26, which is just, come on. Anyway, Google stepped forward and said, okay, great. All right, Apple, here's Android 16. It's out. So you head over to AndroidFaithful.com and you can read Flo's write-up about Android 16 and get kind of an overview of what this means. And basically, Android 16 is now available for Pixel users. You are the first folks who will get your ability to run the new version of Android.
Hooray.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's important to note that this rollout is only for Pixel 6 devices and later on. And also, I don't know if it's a complete rollout because there's a bunch of stuff that's not quite in it yet. And I'll get to that in a second because we also have Mishal's write-up I want to touch on. But folks, that if you're running a Samsung phone or Motorola phone, you're going to have to wait a little bit before you get it. But what's coming in this update might seem under the hood not a lot. But it actually, and as Michelle talked about over on Android Authority, actually is packed with a lot of stuff. But the big thing is that the Material 3 Expressive did not roll out with this update as of yet. That's going to be coming later this summer. So stay tuned for that. But we are starting to see other things rolling out from it. That you can get excited for. Of course, we're still waiting for the desktop mode experience. We're still waiting for Material 3 Expressive. But we are actually getting live updates, which we talked about in the show. But they're actually not live yet either. But they are coming. I'm
deflating.
I know, it really
every
is.
Second here.
They've also got a new API called App Functions, which is going to enable a lot more stuff under the hood to allow apps look and behave more consistently, which is huge. They've also got advanced protection, which is going to give you more security on your phone across everything. And then they've got a ton of, as Michelle described in Android Authority, small quality of life improvements like forced notification grouping. You can double tap the power button to get to Google Wallet. A newer approach to the battery health section. You can get true HDR screenshots. You can customize shortcuts if you use a keyboard on a device on a tablet. They're rolling out Health Connect updates. And a whole bunch more. So Michelle has a very, very detailed breakdown of what's actually in Android 16 over at Android Authority. So I definitely recommend you all check that out. And what's great is that, this is like a taste of what's to come, which is cool. And there's actually
that's one way of saying we're not giving you very much right now, but it's a big deal nonetheless.
But part of it is because the rollout has been adjusted, and we talked about this all year. Is that this is actually the earliest rollout we've seen ever. right? Historically, the rollout of the OS happens in September or October. We did have Android 13 rollout in August that one time in 2022. But for as far back as we can remember, it's always been a September, October rollout. But as we know, they've adjusted the release schedule. They've adjusted the way the rollout actually happens. And now, we can expect it to be coming out in a sooner window at this point. And this is the first time that it is happening. And likely this will be so that Android 16 aligns with the release of the Pixel 10, which we can only presume is going to happen later this summer. And Material 3 Expressive will roll out at that time, and everything will be wonderful. And by the fall, we'll have a wonderful new Android 16 and everything in place. So, Win, from a developer perspective, what's your take on this rollout?
I mean, honestly, if it's only going out to Pixels, then it's just better for us because we're gonna the trickle of 16 related bugs will be slower because there's a lot of changes. I think the most serious change is going to be the changes to be able to override the screen aspect ratio and screen locking because, oh my God, I don't think I've worked at a company that hasn't locked like most apps to portrait mode for about 8 years now. No, 6 years now. So it's going to be a different time for us. I think the rollout, I mean, honestly, at this point, a lot of these features, I mean, Android 16 is important and we do look at it. A lot of it is just to make sure we don't have any regressions or rather kind of any introduction of new bugs to old behavior. But it always takes everybody a little bit of time to take advantage of the new sexy things. But the fact that now that Google is finally pushing us to properly support, thank goodness, and I'm all for this, all of the different screen sizes and making sure that, we don't necessarily always have the option to be like, F it, everyone's in portrait mode and it's easier this way. It's going to be a pain in the butt. So I don't necessarily mind a slower rollout because it'll mean that the trickle of, hey guys, this looks bad. Hey guys, this looks bad. Hey guys, this doesn't even work anymore will be a little bit slower. I don't know if that has anything really to do with it. But it might be that the Pixel launch might be a good smoke test too, as well for most people, because Pixels are like our kind of North Star device.
Yeah, my favorite graphic from Google's assets when they rolled out in the press kit, and it's in the Android Authority article, Jason, if you want to show it, is the one graphic that says goodbye mobile only apps, hello adaptive apps, and it shows somebody holding a fold, and on the left side you see a vertical phone-oriented app in the center of the Pixel Fold, and on the right, under Hello Adaptive Apps, you see the app completely the full width of the Fold and going the wide way, which is, basically like the equivalent of the responsive web, right? Which is the idea. The web has jumped that bridge where it doesn't matter what your screen size or resolution is. The web now adjusts and gives you a full browser width, kind of experience if it's done well and coded correctly, right? And so
I mean, and it's so strange because when I first started learning Android, and this was like 2011, 2012. Not to go into too much technical detail, but old school wise, we had to learn how to like save state. How we were kind of like, I was always taught when I first started learning Android, and I'll give my husband credit, that hey, you need to kind of be flexible and understand that things are not always going to look perfectly portrait. No. And at the time, it was kind of a little bit like, oh, not a great idea for you to lock your phone because that's what kind of the special thing about Android was. And then over time, just because I think a lot of us got beat down a little bit by trying to argue for Android specific things, or, like granted, a lot of apps don't need landscape version. People start locking orientation. And I see actually a lot of younger, or if anything else, people new to Android that don't know how to handle these kind of like state changes. So it bothers the crap out of me, but at some time when you don't have time, you're like, fine, okay, like the old person is not going to complain about this anymore because we lock to portrait. It doesn't matter because we're never going to run into these problems. Told you so. I've been waiting 6-7 years for this. Told you guys so. Yep. So anyway,
never question when. That's what I've learned.
Well, it's just the old problems always show up again. You know what I mean? Like,
that's for sure. So it's exciting to see Android 16 roll out. I mean, I have, I don't have it as of yet. I'm on a Pixel 9 Pro. I'll gladly install it when I get it and check it all out. Also excited as a Pixel owner. In addition to Android 16 rolling out, there is a June Pixel drop which is a bunch of features that are exclusive to Pixel owners. Flo highlighted them on within the article on AndroidFaithful.com. With those, you get the Pixel VIPs, the Contacts app favorites supercharged thing that we talked about on last week's show, I believe. Also, you get custom stickers in Gboard via Pixel Studio, expressive captions, which helps transcribe emotion behind dialogue. And then the Google Home app gets a fun update that you can lay out your favorite devices for easier access on tablets and smartwatches. So June Pixel drop, along with talk about a Pixel drop, a new version of the OS. Like don't bury the lead. That's the big Pixel drop is Android 16, but some also new features just for Pixel users there. So big day in the world of Pixel and Android. So
big-ish day.
Ish.
There's going to be a bigger Android 16 day when the rest of the things finally roll out.
That's the thing is like I know they wanted to move up the rollout of this, but they kind of
you got to give them credit, like some flexibility over the fact that they did make a big kind of change like that, right? Moving the timetable is going to impact things. It just deflates it a little bit. It's kind of like, oh, I'm really excited for this version, but everything that I'm excited for isn't happening yet. Actually, the live updates I think is pretty sweet. And I do like the adaptive, kind of like the forced adaptive layout. Like that might be something that developers kind of hate because maybe it forces them to do work that they've been putting off or don't want to do. But they're going to love it? Okay.
They should learn to love it.
They should learn to love it. Well, I know, the flip side of that is users will love it. Like that is time well spent, in my opinion, as a user, not developer. For a developer to spend the time to do that, that is the sort of thing that users will love, especially when they see it more everywhere. And then in your app, they don't. They're going to notice that, eventually. So,
Yep.
Got to force our hand. That's just how engineers work, just like everybody else. We're not. Yeah. You just sometimes just got to make us do our homework. So.
Get to work.
Get to work.
Get to work, kids.
Work.
All right. Well, for those of you, so by the way, I have a Pixel Fold. I haven't gotten Android 16 yet, so I guess we'll wait and see. But if you have a Pixel Watch, there might be some goodies coming down the pipe for you. In an article written by someone you guys might know named Michelle Ramon, Michelle managed to find some hints. Always looking around, trying to dig what Google's trying to hide for that slow roll. But Michelle seems to have found clues that Pixel Watches soon might get adaptive charging. So phones already have adaptive charging, right? Just because the health of your battery depends a lot on your charging habits. So you should never like charging it to 100%, especially leaving it plugged in for long periods of time, does degrade the battery, as does letting it get to zero. And so phones have for a long time have had adaptive charging to kind of help you manage that on your own. But wouldn't that be nice for watches? And I've actually done this myself. I've done manual adaptive charging where I very selectively charge, or I try to make sure that I charge only when I can see it gets up to a certain point because I love this watch and I want the battery to last long. Well, guess what? Maybe I don't got to do that no more. And it does seem that they're working on the feature. There's no indication of when this will roll out, probably with Wear OS 6, but Michelle has found indications, basically little strings that basically call out to an adaptive charging feature. But that's not all we're going to get. The new Pixel Watch could actually also kind of give you the other half of what the watch unlock could do. So right now, if you have your Pixel Watch, you can actually set it up to make it so that your phone is always automatically unlocked if your watch is unlocked. It's pretty handy. But the interesting thing is that it never quite did the opposite, where if, say, I have my watch here and I have watch unlock on, if I somehow get away from my phone, it doesn't kind of close that loop and detect that the watch is now far away and lock it. But it looks like they might be doing that too, and it makes a lot of sense, right? Because if you're kind of already in that first half of the loop, maybe you want the back half, and might be just a good like initial security measure to have your phone lock when it disconnects from your watch. So there is some strings in there. Someone on Telegram, Nell said Eleos managed to get up a setting screen. It's not functional, but you can see a setting called lock phone when left behind. Phone will lock when it disconnects from your watch, like when it's far away. So it looks like this is also something that they're looking at. Any takers on this?
Yeah, I like that.
I like it too.
A lot.
Does make sense.
Makes sense that when the two devices are normally connected to each other and then they are separated, that there would be some sort of security switch in there, because it would be very easy to remove one thing from the other.
Absolutely. So yeah, potentially. So they're looking on that too. And finally, another thing that Michelle found. So that last one, the Pixel Watch, the Pixel Watch Unlock, relock, the watch relock was found over by the folks doing APK teardowns like Assemble Debug. And Stefan, I don't know how to say your last name. Chick. Okay. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to pronounce it. Stefan. Okay, never mind. All right, sorry. So sorry. Stefan and Assemble Debug, thank you for that. But we'll go back to Michelle Ramon for one more feature that could be coming, and that is water lock. So because smartwatches have capacitive display still, if you get some water on there, you might start getting some errant taps, yeah? Like just your phone just start doing things. I have had this done when I brush my teeth with my watch on. So a lot of other smartwatches, like say the Galaxy watches, do have a feature called water lock, where it's kind of basically a dedicated lock where you say, hey, like I'm, at the beach or I'm at the pool, watch is going to get wet. Please don't, please for now ignore any touches on the screen, basically. And also to go along with this, a lot of watches like the Galaxy Watch have an accompanying water ejection feature, which is really cool. They play a certain tone that I assume vibrates the speaker port. And then once you basically turn water lock off, it kind of does a little shake of the phone using this tone to get the water out the speaker. Well, that being said, the Pixel hasn't had this. But again, Michelle, doing his investigation thing and diving deep, has found some very specific strings that mention water lock and turning it on. Michelle knows that he hasn't found anything about a similar water ejection feature, which would be nice to get water out of speakers and to prevent any ingress. But it looks like water lock is coming. He did note that I think the Pixel Watch does turn off touch interaction when you start and I presume this is a Fitbit thing. I wasn't clear on this, but basically, if you start a water activity like swimming or something, the watch will do like a touch rejection while you're doing that activity, which is cute. But maybe you're not actually swimming. Maybe you're just, I don't know, in the back with a sprinkler or something. I don't know. You guys have kids, some water activity that maybe you just don't want your watch active for. So anyway, those three things probably coming. Maybe in Wear OS 6, maybe not. But yeah, look forward to those things when you got them.
Nice.
I like it. I like all these things.
And that was delivered by the queen of Wear OS, because when I think of the Pixel Watch, I think of you, Win.
Thank you. I'm very happy.
Yeah.
I love this watch. I love this thing.
I know.
It's good.
I think you put it to good use too. I'm glad
that it's resonated with somebody.
It really has, and I did. You know how I always complain about how I can't wear this when I work out because the kettlebell smashed the back of my wrist.
Yeah.
I guess it was warming up and forgot that their watch was in the back of their wrist.
Oh.
Did it get
all scratched?
I don't know. Sometimes you don't look at and you're not sure if it was like that thing or whether it was already there. But I definitely heard a, and I was like,
oh, it should have a kettlebell mode. No, it should be protected by Gorilla Glass kettle.
Kettle glass. Kettle glass. I like it. I like it. Go get on this. I'll buy 5 of them, I swear.
I think it's a good idea, actually. Someone should do that. Okay, so the other thing that happened, it wasn't just Android's really big but not quite that big day with Android 16.
That's a good title for our live stream viewers.
Really big but not quite that big. Not as big as it could have been.
It's interesting. I'm still hung up on it was a big day and they moved at the launch, but it's iterative. It's still iterative. Anyway,
yeah, I get it, and I'm also a little disappointed.
I know.
And yesterday was Apple's big day, and I would say by all accounts, Apple had some pretty solid announcements. We've been doing this Android thing for so long, especially, you and I, Ron, but all three of us have been in the Android thing pretty much since the beginning. So WWDC coverage is not something that I normally do. I can't tell you how many years it would happen and I wouldn't even watch. I just wasn't even interested in it because it wasn't my beat. I don't have iOS really and whatever. Well, I was asked by ZDNet to cover it from the Android perspective, and the easy thing to do is to watch it and look for features that kind of are borrowed, let's say, from Android, and understand these companies, they borrow from each other. Everybody wins. It goes in all directions.
It's Pong. It's ping pong.
Totally. Yeah. And, and I'm sure some people oddly, I thought I was going to get some comments of oh, you Android people, blah. I haven't gotten any of that. So yay, maybe I did my job right, because I really didn't want it to be trolly, but I wrote an article for ZDNet 5 iOS 26 features that I've been using on my Android phone for years. Also did a video. Also, Ron did a write-up on the Android Faithful site as
Based
well.
on your video.
Yeah, based on the video. But yeah, and I mean, if you watched the WWDC announcement, you definitely saw some things where you were like, oh yeah, that's Pixel. Like call screening and hold assist, which, you know, essentially do what Pixel phones have been doing for quite a while, which is when a phone call comes through and it's from a number that it doesn't recognize, or it's on, you know, Google's kind of cloud list of spam callers or whatever, it actually screens it with text on the screen of that side of the conversation. And, you know, you don't have to pick up the phone until you have to pick up the phone, or hold assist that waits on hold for you. Apple finally has these features. And I mean, we've all used Pixel phones, so we all know that the benefit of these features. You know, we've been using them for years. They're really useful. It's really nice to not have to always pick up the phone. I'm constantly bombarded by spam calls these days, and I wonder, like, what kind of list did I get on, because I get them every single day. But I never had to pick up the phone because I always know I know what they are, and so I never pick up. So, you know, things like that are handy. Spam detection in messages, so, you know, messages that actually call it out. Of course, Google Messages had that. Live translation, that's another big feature that they have in the new version of iOS 26. It compares very closely to live translation, also the name of the feature for Google's Android, for translating things. I thought the visual intelligence update was great because, you know, they didn't really say circle. They were like, yeah, you just scribble on the thing, the blah blah blah. And I'm like, yeah, but you can circle too, search. And, you know, of course, it's basically circle to search. Although there they do it a little differently. There, it's embedded into the screenshot functionality. So in order to circle to search, you have to first take a screenshot, which means, in my mind, that means you end up with a bunch of screenshots that you may or may not want to save. But nonetheless, you know, it does that. Genmoji to emoji keyboard, emoji kitchen in Gboard. And then, of course, Liquid Glass, which I think, you know, Liquid Glass on iOS is really just kind of like the system-wide unified redesign where everything has this like glass quality to it. Yes. But the bigger kind of ambition is that it kind of ties into real world tangible materials like glass, right? And does that sound familiar? I mean, that's something that Google's been doing since the beginning with material design. It was based on real world materials, and they're both kind of trying to achieve the same thing from different directions.
Isn't the glass thing, isn't that based off of what they developed from the Vision Pro? Like,
yes.
Isn't that where it came from, right? Did I read that? Yeah. So
that's
which makes sense,
the inspiration behind it.
Yeah.
You know, and the Vision Pro, of course, that experience involves a combination of the digital and the real. And so, you know, that kind of synergy between the digital elements and how it fits into the reality of what we're looking at and everything. And so when they bring that into the OS layer, kind of has that same ethos. It's like, yeah, here are materials that you are already very familiar with how they work, the physics of those materials, but in a design paradigm. And that's exactly what Google has been doing with material design. It's definitely what Google is doubling down on with Material 3 Expressive whenever we finally get to the chance to play around with it. So anyways, a lot of overlap there. Interesting stuff nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, it's always the case, right? Isn't this the bingo game we always play with every iOS thing, where it's like, we've done this, we've done and I'm sure there was stuff that was announced that hasn't been. I didn't look I was busy. I was working. I didn't look very closely at WWD stuff. I'm sure there was stuff that was announced that hasn't been on Android, right? And I'm sure there was stuff that, oh geez,
Tim Cook's never been on Android, has he?
I'm sure that you know, and just like the dynamic island, remember when that came out? That was something that we never, you know. So, you know, and Android has pulled stuff from iOS, right? So like it's a game of Pong. That's all it is.
Totally a game of Pong. Yeah. It is interesting though that one of the things, like the live translation in kind of researching for the article and the video, reminded me that live translation for Google for Android has been around since like 2016. Like the very first iteration of Pixel Buds had live translation with the tap on the earbud to, you know, to tap into the live translation app and be able to hear the translation in your ear when you're talking to someone. It's been around for a long time. A lot of these features have been around for a long time. The spam and the spam functionality and everything. We're talking like 2018, 19. And so, yeah, it's interesting that it's taken a while, but that's how it goes. And we will uncertainly with Android, be borrowing features from iOS every single time. It is a game of tennis. It just goes back and forth. It's just the way it is. Some things will never change.
It's true. But we'll be here to laugh about it every time we can, though, right?
That's right.
Win, what was your take with all the Apple stuff? Did you get were you laughing, or did you get what was the chatter amongst the devs?
Not too much. I mean, I think I know a lot of Android devs who are iOS users, and I think at this point, I'm just glad for them to get features,
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. As you said, we all borrow from each other, and I don't know. I think we're in a better headspace mentally if we don't keep up this. What is a kind way of saying stuff measuring contests that we have traditionally done? And it's like, the high, this kind of friendly competition does lift all boats. So happy for y'all.
Yeah, it can go in the toxic direction, which some people take it. I really tried to avoid any of that in my coverage. Just kind of be like, yes, it's fun to poke a little fun here and there, but at the same time, I think my whole thesis around all of that coverage was there's a lot of borrowing going on. At the end of the day, we all win because this is what competition is all about. Competition inspires and motivates each side to do more, and so. One side might have a certain feature that the other doesn't have, probably will eventually, and it probably has that because of the competition involved in it, and that's good for everyone.
Yeah, and you should use whatever device works best for you. That's the thing that is most important.
Yeah, of course.
And so if someone really just iOS worked better for them, and now they have something that's akin to Circle to search and call screening. You know what? Yep. Go for it. Yes, please. Why would I gain? I don't think we gain anything by wanting iOS to be jank and broke ass featureless OS.
No.
We want everybody to I kind of feel like, is it like Bring It On at the end? Okay, anyway, where everyone's happy because everyone is their best cheer self and has their own unique, cheer. Anyway, hi, sorry, that's how old I am. Bring It On. All right.
It's a great movie.
Fantastic movie. Surprised how good that movie is, and it kind of holds up. So, all right. Well, speaking of, awesome movies, awesome people. We'll talk to awesome people, but it is now time for the patron pick of the week. So every week we, along with the help of our patrons, pick out some stories, and we take 3 and we ask our patrons to vote on them, and we pick one of them to speak about right now on this main show. And not only that, but we've been asking folks, whether they are patrons or not, to submit wonderful hero images for us for our poll. And this week's is actually just darn delightful. Thanks to Linda. Linda, sorry if I'm not getting your family name correctly. Linda Barahal Norman for...
Jason,
what is this?
Was this a pickup from last week?
Yeah, 2 out of 3 of us weren't here. So, Jason, what's the story on
last
this?
week,
yes, it is. It is. Okay, yeah, because for a second I was like, oh, this is so cute.
So Linda provided last week's shot of a bug droid watering plants, and then she emailed again saying, oh my God, I had to send these gnomes in after the show last week. So Jason...
Because what we realized on the show is that a wonderful marketing opportunity is garden gnomes in the shape of Android figurines.
And here they are.
And here they are.
Yep.
There's a cornucopia.
That's pretty awesome.
What's a group of gnomes called?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's ask Gemini.
A murder of gnomes? No, I don't know.
Let's see.
What? A hovel? Is it a hovel?
I have no idea.
What is a group of gnomes called?
This is the perfect question for a Gemini.
Gemini has while there isn't one universally agreed upon collective noun for gnomes, some popular and often cited terms include a donzy or a whimsy.
I'll take a whimsy.
Course.
What's a donzy? A whimsy.
You might also hear creative suggestions like a lawn, referring to garden gnomes, or a nomenclature. Gnomenclature. A nomenclature.
All right. Anyone watching the live stream, this is all fuel for titles. af.showboat.tv.
All right. Well, I think I like the lawn, but I mean, honestly, we'll call it a nomenclature. There is a wonderful nomenclature of pointy red hat clad androids with little android also they're Androids with Androids on their shirts, and there's like a little regular, we'll call it regular, like a David the Gnome in the back. I guess.
But it's still a mashup. It's like a regular
a-
gnome by face, but still an android by body.
He's a
Like it's a
gnome
bug
hybrid.
droid with a gnome mask. That's what
That's
I think
what
it
it
is.
is.
Yeah, that's
It's a gnome
what
That's what
droid.
it is. Yes.
Gnome droid.
Love
yes.
it. It looks so good. It's so
wonderful.
well done.
It's really cute. It's actually it's got good vibes. Thank you, Linda, for wonderful Android gardening vibes. We love it. We love it.
Someone needs to go on Etsy. I'm telling you, this is the Etsy opportunity right here.
Someone call up Andrew Bell over at Dead
bug
Zebra, like lawn gnomes, please.
Love it.
All right. Well, we had 3 stories that our lovely patrons voted on, and of the least winningest one was about logging into your Samsung account by the end of next month or forever hold your peace.
Oh my goodness, that sounds
because
dire.
something might be happening to them. Who knows?
But we don't know.
We don't know,
because
but
we can't talk about it.
we can't talk about it yet.
You'll find out on the after hours.
Yeah,
That's right.
if you
Everyone
if
will
you're
find out
after
after hours.
Yep.
there you go. So if you're super curious, go ahead and check out After Hours after this show. Second one is millions of low-cost Android. Oh wait, sorry, that's not the right one. That's the winning one. The second losingest one was Meta and Yandex are de-anonymizing that is, Android users' web browsing identifiers. Well, that sounds spicy, but
that does sound spicy.
We can't partake of any spice right now. Because of indigestion, and also because we actually need to talk about how millions of low-cost Android devices have turned home networks into crime platforms. This is actually a pretty serious story, and kind of a huge problem. So basically, what's happening? Sorry, I'm gonna pull up my notes. Is that this is the return kind of like an existing malware. So basically millions of low-cost Android devices, including those that are used for media streaming, in-vehicle entertainment, video projection, they've all been infected with malware known as Bad Box 2.0. So this is kind of a more advanced strain of a previously problematic triada strain. And it basically transforms consumer networks into platforms that can distribute other malware, basically making them like another vector for infection. They can also conceal illicit communications and carry out various, nefarious activities like click fraud, ad fraud, and creating residual proxy networks for other cyber criminals. So the FBI has actually issued a warning about this issue, and the infection happens in a couple different ways. One of the most alarming one is actually through pre-installation during manufacturing, like that whole idea of like someone breaking in and actually like kind of loading like this kind of malware onto devices has actually happened, and that's how many of the common devices have come to be. And then of course, because this is malware that is like an actual virus, it seeks to replicate itself and like propagate. It can happen during initial setup or through other malicious apps. So please, if you have any, devices that are kind of off-brand, uncertified AOSP project devices, rather than actual official Play Protect certified Android devices, please be extremely careful and take note. If you have no idea, then I believe like the FBI has a list of like possible, kind of candidates unfortunately for this malware. So, I mean, if you have any of those kind of devices, like something that's a little bit off-brand, definitely check it out and be careful. But yeah, the highest concentrations of affected devices have been reported in South America, particularly Brazil. And the devices are primarily manufactured in China, for what that's worth. And this is insane. The original Bad Box campaign affected 74,000 devices. This Bad Box 2.0 is over 1 million. So, yeah, not a happy story, but a very good warning that, again, mostly in South America, Brazil in particular, and particularly primarily Chinese manufactured devices. So.
I mean, it just boggles the mind, the creativity that goes involved with putting these sort of things together, and then also the mindset to put it together and put it out into the world, and the maliciousness that the motivation behind it, right? It's just it's just fascinating, right?
Yeah, so there's not really any way you can really visually tell. You just kind of have to do your research and check like your device. The FBI does say that if you have a device that is downloading apps from unofficial sources and like just see in case of like, if your device is like downloading apps from like unofficial sources. And also if you're concerned, monitor your network traffic and see if there's any suspicious activity. And that's like the best thing to do, because like this thing is very stealthy. Like there's not a lot of like, it's not like the old school, like popping, flashing windows and being like, well, this is very obviously a sick machine. It's very sneaky, which is probably why it has been so prolific.
Yeah.
Yes. So not a great note, but something that we can all share together and warn our friends and loved ones against. But if you were curious about those other two stories, again, stay tuned. Go to After Hours, where we do not leave the other stories in the dust. We actually do cover them. And yes.
And not only that, we cover the other two stories, but then also patrons, all members of the Patreon can vote on stories each week, but then also patrons can submit stories for us to include both on the show as well as in the patron voting. And we cover a lot of those stories in the After Hours also. So
Indeed.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, we couldn't do the show without you guys. Thank you so much to our patrons, particularly folks like Stephen Clark, for making the show possible and for getting us to almost 198. We 2 away. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Yep. So excited.
All right. Mm-hmm. Let's take a break of that Kit Kat bar and then come back and talk about some hardware. Oh, I'm so full from that Kit Kat. That was so long ago. You just listened to a bunch of ads, and now here I am, just so stuffed. Oh,
I miss the days of the food. Like we know Android 16 was called baklava, but then also like back in the days when we did all about Android at Twit, when when Brian was on board and other folks, we would get the little food bumpers. Remember? Like those are great. Those are fun.
Google made that possible. They really teased up the dessert thing. It was front and center, and it gave us a great excuse to eat ice cream sandwiches and lots and lots of Oreos.
Yep. So. Indeed. All right. Well, that said, let's get into some hardware. First up is our good friends over at OnePlus. Have been busy. Have been very excited. Been waiting to talk about this. The OnePlus Pad 3 is out in the world, and I feel like over the past year we've gotten a bunch of people writing in asking about tablets. I want to get a tablet that is the Android equivalent of the iPad Plus Pro or whatever, iPad Pro, not Plus, iPad Pro. And it looks like the OnePlus Pad 3 is a good entry point in that in that conversation. So it's a very, very powerful tablet running the Snapdragon 8 Elite chip. It's got a 13.2-inch display. If you're familiar with OnePlus, with OnePlus Fold or the previous OnePlus tablets, it's got their multitasking application called Open Canvas, which allows you to have multiple apps running on the screen at one time, and you can control how they're shown. It's very, very cool. It does it with different swipes and gestures and things like that to control where they go. It's got 8 speakers for your audio, and you can get a awesome little cool kickstand kind of case for it, along with a stylus. And it's available for pre-order, and it's priced at $699, which is a pretty good price given for everything that's under the hood here for that. It is a strong device. All the other specs are really, really solid. It's running Android 15, actually Oxygen OS 15, which is OnePlus's version of Android. It's got a 16 gig of RAM. You can get it with 250 gig of storage or 512 gig of storage. The main camera is 13 megapixel. The selfie camera is 8 megapixel. But again, I don't understand why tablets have cameras, but whatever, it's fine. I'm so glad the world, I've been out in the world a lot, and I've seen less people with tablets taking pictures. Remember the scourge of people taking pictures with tablets?
I just remember the Google I/O where they gave out tablets and everybody was watching I think it was Jane's Addiction was I
remember that. Yeah.
The band, and everyone had their Samsung tablets videoing it, and I was just like, this is so dumb. No, you don't need to know.
So, but anyway, it's not good. So in the US, the tablet comes in one color called Storm Blue. If you're in India, they have 2 colors, the Storm Blue plus Frosted Silver, which is out there. So I think this is a really, really impressive tablet. In addition, when you pre-order it, OnePlus is going to give you a gift with it, and that gift is their OnePlus Pad 3 Smart Keyboard, and or the OnePlus Stylo 2 stylus, or the OnePlus Pad 3 Folio case. So you can pick two of those three things.
It's an expensive keyboard. If you're getting the tablet and the keyboard, it's like $900.
Yep. And additionally, they're offering a 10% discount for students. So if you're a student and you need a tablet, this is a great option. And then finally, OnePlus has that insano eligible device trade-in offer, where if you got an eligible device and you can trade it into them, you get $100 off. So you can get this even cheaper than $699. You get it for $599. This is a very, very cool device in terms of a extra large tablet. It's a good option. It's out there. I think this is a contender. I'd love to get my hands on this and play with it.
Does this have it wouldn't have the slider because it's not a phone. Well, right?
It could, but
yeah, I mean, it still could. Yeah. But I wonder if it has the plus key, which is what they were replacing the slider with on the phones. It's kind of like their AI portal button thing.
Yep.
But I don't see anything in this article about a plus key.
Yeah.
I did reach out to OnePlus to see if we could get one for review, and it does not look promising that we'll get this for review, but who knows, maybe.
Hopefully. It's a cool thing. Yeah. And then additionally, so the OnePlus Pad 3 is awesome. I'd love to get my hands on it. The phone from OnePlus I'd love to get my hands on, which is the tragedy of 2025, the OnePlus 13S, which we've talked about on the show in the past, is not available in the US, available in other regions only. But this is a great small phone with a big battery, which I still don't understand how that works. So the OnePlus 13S has got the Snapdragon 8 Elite, a 5,850 milliamp battery in a 6.32-inch phone, which is just awesome. Like,
it's got to be silicon carbon, right?
It's got to be, right? Doesn't it? It doesn't actually say exactly what it is.
Doesn't.
But yeah.
It doesn't in this GSM arena article.
So,
I mean, if it's truly, like how thin is this thing? Does it say? 8.15. Oh, okay. So it's not like crazy thin. It's not like, we're not talking like, Galaxy, whatever.
It's still lithium ion.
Yeah,
so,
okay. It's just, this picture makes it look really small, but
it does. But it's still in there. But it's a very small phone running it's got it's 71 millimeters wide, 8.15 millimeters thick.
Right.
It weighs 185 grams. So it's lighter than a Pixel 9 Pro or an iPhone 16 Pro. Still with that large battery, which is crazy. And this is just a great little phone, and I wish that they would make it available in the US. But this was officially announced. It's got 3 colors: green silk, which is exclusive for India, which is weird because I thought this phone was only available in India. Pink,
that's what I thought too.
Yeah, pink. Maybe they're gonna roll it out in other regions, but we'll see. Pink satin and black velvet are the other colors. And pre-orders are open now, and then they're gonna start shipping this week on June 12th. So yeah, it's pretty cool to see. It's out in the world.
Nice.
I think this is a cool phone. I want them to make it available in this in our region.
Go OnePlus. Yeah, I know. Both the phone. I guess the Pad is a US release as well, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Just not sure we're gonna get either of them on the show. I'll continue trying. I'll see if I can annoy them.
We appreciate your hard work. So.
Thank you so much for your sacrifice, Jason.
And sorry, OnePlus.
All right, well, we're creeping up on that time of year where we start to learn a little bit more about Samsung's next generation of foldables. And Samsung dropped us a little leaky peeky this time for its all new, and now this is the debated part, ultra phone. So they released a GIF that shows a foldable with a caption, "Meet the next chapter of Ultra." And it's a very, it's a teaser gift. It's a silhouette. So we can only... if you go down one more, you can actually see it in action for the video, folks. There you go. You just see a silhouette of it.
Oh my goodness!
And it opens. So, I mean, really can't tell Jack and other Jack about what's going on. It does seem to be thinner. Like like it's hard to tell because it's just a
It's pretty hard to
silhouette.
tell. I don't know.
But it seems thinner.
I don't know.
I don't know if the front screen is again as wide. I mean, that's always the complaint we've had for years, right? Is that the folds are
Yeah.
quite narrow in the front. I'm not like super encouraged yet about the kind of the ergonomics of the foldable. But there it is. I did think it was really funny because I'm not sure, this must have been in the post that went with it. But quote this Android Central article. Hinting that the phone might be incredibly sleek, Samsung says that users can, quote, squeeze onto a crowded subway train for an evening commute with the device folded in hand. And I'm so sorry, maybe I'm being mean. Can you not do that with any phone?
I think you can.
I mean, also,
But
I
it
wouldn't.
sounds nice in promotional materials.
So yes, it does. It does sound. So I'm just picturing someone walking into a train with like an iPad or the OnePad 2 like horizontally, like a dinner plate. Like what? Like do people walk into like anyway? That being aside, it's a little bit confusing what this actually is, and some folks were thinking that perhaps what this is indicating is that there might be an additional foldable added to the line, like an ultra version, like an even more premium version of a Z Fold. Although, if you ask a very reliable leaker of information at Max Jambor, tech journalist and leaker Max Jambor, he claims that the Galaxy Z Fold 7 will bring an ultra experience, but that there isn't like, another foldable entering the arena with the other foldable. So we'll have yet to see. But basically, Samsung is promising an ultra-like experience on one of their foldables. It looks like it could be thin. We'll see. But yeah, thin is in for foldables.
Maybe it's just really small, but it's the
Well,
you know what I mean?
Is it like this big? Is it like this big?
Right. Like it does the normal size fold, but we have no sense of scale here, and maybe it's like this small.
Oh no, like here
or
I
something.
have this little palm phone that I
Yeah.
have. Like maybe it's like this.
That would actually
Oh
be
my god, I would
pretty
actually
awesome.
buy that.
That would be pretty cool. I mean, because then you're right, Samsung. You could squeeze onto a crowded subway train for an evening commute with the device folded in hand.
Sure,
like
you
in the
could-
palm of your hand.
You could squeeze in with like 5 of them if they were that.
Yeah,
if that was
totally.
That small.
Stackable.
Sorry
Like
for
the
audio
whole set.
listeners. I picked up my Palm, which is like a little 4-inch device. It's literally like a little doll-sized phone.
Yeah,
So
it's
imagine that.
cute.
It's
so
so cute.
Oh, the little nubbin.
I need to turn this on. I wonder if it does turn on anymore. Anyway, that's what we got. We'll hear more, of course, and we'll be here for all of your foldable Galaxy Unpacked speculations, leaks, and final reveals as they come out.
Yeah. I love speculations. They're my favorite Asians. That
Not
sounds kind of weird,
libations?
actually.
What about libations?
Yeah, libations are good. Yeah, I like libations.
Ryan, you're muted.
Anyways, yeah, Ron, you are muted.
I was gonna say Samsung stations. Now that the Android 16 shoe is dropped, we reset the clock to the Samsung Galaxy Unpacked.
I know.
Kind of
Oh
countdown,
my
right?
God.
Like that's the next
dang
on
clock,
the calendar.
man.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted by these clocks. So Ron has something to show, and I have something to show. Ron, why don't you go first?
Yeah, just something a little neat. I finally I should put my phone in it so we can properly show it off. But I finally got my hands on our friend of the show, Michael Fisher and Company's Clicks keyboard.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Yeah, there it
nice.
is. I was very disappointed to receive the email, unfortunately, stating that the my preferred colorway of the Pixel keyboard, the very brightly neon one, they were unable to achieve the color balance in manufacturing that they wanted. But they did a good solid by me, and they sent me the black one free of charge. And refunded
wow.
my order, and then also gave me a coupon code to get another one at 50% off, which is pretty
dang.
cool. Yeah, so
That's awesome.
But yeah, so it's really great. It's super easy to take the phone in and out of the keyboard. All you got to do is you just you slide it in, and there is the little USB-C jack there at the bottom.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice.
And then to slide the phone back in, all you do is slide it in along the bottom and line it up.
And you've got a super tall device.
And there it is. And so basically you got a super tall device that feels really weird in your pocket. And I haven't quite figured out, like, do I just leave my phone in it and carry it around like this? Or do I carry the keyboard around in my bag and put it in when I need it?
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. But as far as holding it like, even though it's super long, it balances. Like I balance it on my pinky, and I use my back 3 fingers to hold it, and I'm able to type with my thumb, no problem. Or I can go 2-finger typing with it, no problem. I got big fat fingers, and the keys are super small. So I have had a little bit of stumbling of a couple of unnecessary typos and getting to the key that I want to because of my big fat fingers. But with time, you adjust and you get used to it.
I'm sure that would be the thing that you would totally get used to over time. Do you think you could squeeze onto a crowded subway train for an evening commute with that device?
Yes, I do think I could.
Okay, all right.
Although I would be worried about, and it's a good point, and I'm going to take it into the city next week and I'll find out, but I would get worried about, because on the crowded subway train, if you're holding your phone, you're holding it at the bottom, the number of hits to the top of the phone and the knock out of your hand, that is a real thing that happens in New York. And so that is something that you need to be conscious of. So like, I got to come up with the subway grip, whether it's like a holding it and using it this way or however you want to do it. But I'll give them a lot of credit. Their onboarding content is fantastic. You get an email every day. They have videos, little YouTube short videos that show you how to do stuff. The app is fantastic. When you install it for the first time, they walk you through how to use the keyboard and how to use to get to the numbers or get to the symbols or things like that. Like I was using it within a couple of minutes, no problem.
Nice.
So yeah, and it's got a great little you see there that kind of Maca dial pattern there. This little kind of pad on the bottom under the keyboard on the back part of it is that where your hand rests on it. So you got a little bit of different texture for the rest part of it.
Nice.
So great job, Clicks keyboard crew and Michael and friends. Super proud of it. So yeah, I'm excited to give it a test run. And my darling sister, who wants a new phone, has got her eye on the Motorola Razr, and I showed her the keyboard, and she misses her BlackBerry from 20 years ago. And I was like, with this Clicks keyboard and a Motorola Razr, you get real close to a BlackBerry kind of profile. And so that could be a way that she goes. So
you got 50% off of it.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. Yeah.
So, sorry, how's charging? Like wireless charging? Have you tried with
it's
the
there's no it's just powered off USB.
Oh, I mean like charging your phone.
So if you need
there's wireless charging. Yeah, it's got the you see the little thing see
oh,
the,
yeah.
Okay, great.
Cool. Yeah. So yeah, no problem at all. And you can set the keyboard itself to battery optimization mode. You can control how much power it pulls off of the phone, so it doesn't drain your battery. It doesn't. Yeah. So they really have thought a lot of it. It's a very very good very very good product. So
nice.
Yeah. So strongly recommend.
Yay! We finally got that on the show. We're a little behind on the Clicks coverage, but I love that Michael and crew are having such success with it.
I imagine I would have gotten mine sooner if I just gotten the black one earlier and not the fancy crazy colors version, but I want the crazy colors. So Michael, if you're listening, and Clicks, everyone, still try to get crazy colors. I will buy the crazy colors when you do them. So yeah.
Yeah, obviously they sold out fast. Well, I was going to use an overhead camera for an unboxing, but my overhead camera is dark. It is darkness imprisoning me, all that I see. So I just got this afternoon RayNeo Air 3s, or I guess Air 3S is what it is, but I want to say like Air 3s because it looks like it should be that. They are extended reality glasses, but what they are is meant for kind of media consumption. And actually, they sent this device to me. They also sent me this little Pocket TV, Google TV Pocket TV device that you plug into it. And actually, you can kind of see, it's wired into the glasses. And so anywhere that I am, I could be that guy on the airplane wearing my own like large screen monitor to watch a 3D movie because of the RayNeos. And so I was going to use my overhead camera to unbox this just real quick, but because I can't, I now have to hold it up like I don't know, like.
And so for audio listeners, Jason's just holding up the box and showing it to his main camera.
Look at that. Yeah, it's a little weird. I'd much rather do it on a table. But and then hopefully I didn't bring any scissors, so hopefully I don't reach a point to where I can't actually get it open. But I do want to, at the very least, pull the glasses out and put them on my face so you can laugh at me. Or maybe not.
That's a big case. Look at that. Are they big glass? They must be big glasses.
I mean, they are, they're XR glasses.
Yeah.
So when you consider that these are XR glasses, it's actually kind of small compared to what I've seen before. So, it's meant to block off light, right? And so, of course, this is going to be a complete kind of tray, or I don't know what you want to call it, like a walled lens situation, because you want to block the light coming through. So if you get onto an airplane and I'm sitting over there like this, don't be afraid. Don't be scared. I'm just watching a 3D movie. I'm watching I don't know. What's the 3D movie? Is Titanic in 3D? No. Okay. Whatever a 3D movie is. Avatar. I'm watching Avatar.
Sure.
There
Avatar.
you
There you go. Yeah. Navi. There you go.
So when I was in Barcelona for Mobile World Congress, I went to a TCL kind of like press area. It was like a whole separate place away from everything else. And they had just a bunch of stuff in there. And RayNeo was parked in a corner, and I spent a good like half an hour, 45 minutes exploring all their products. And this really impressed me. The quality of what you see, I mean, it's incredibly sharp, and the, and large. It's just a really well done, this type of device, a device that you put on that doesn't, it doesn't look like I'm wearing standard glasses necessarily, but it's also not meant to. This isn't like XR glasses that you maneuver the world. Like, this is really meant for media consumption. And so this is, you're boarding a plane or you're sitting on your couch, and instead of turning on the TV, you throw this on. Instead of putting on a big honkin' VR headset, you just put this on. And, it does let in a little bit of light here, but you end up seeing these large, this large display in front of you in 3D. And I am really excited to play around with this and put it through its paces and plug it into the little pocket TV. But you can also connect it to like your phone. You can connect it to your game system. So if you have like a Nintendo Switch, you could just channel it to your eyes instead of on the handheld. And I don't know. It's kind of flexible. It's $239 is the cost for the glasses alone. That's actually down from $269. They are on sale right now, it looks like. And yeah, super excited to check these out and kind of see what they're all about.
Very cool.
Do they have bone conduction? Sean asks for the sound.
Oh, for the sound. That's a good question. Quad speaker push design, 200% improved acoustic performance. I don't know that it's bone conduction. I don't know that I've seen that it is. I can look into that though and see. And I'm not seeing anything come up unless there's another name for it. The actual site with all the information is not pulling back something. So I'm guessing that, that means that it's probably just a standard speaker system, but then that would be kind of light for a device this small. But, for something like this, you're probably also wearing like Bluetooth earbuds. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Would be my guess. But yeah, it's a good question. I'll have to look into that to see what that's all about. So, you know what I didn't do? Sorry. This wasn't a proper unboxing. I should have.
There it
is. There.
I saw the tab and I was like, "Oh my goodness!"
Yeah.
I was like, "Why is that slot there?" So now it's all shiny.
You wear sunglasses at night.
Let's be honest, you get on a plane and you sit next to this dude. What is your reaction?
Ron, I have sat next to this dude because my husband owns a pair of not these glasses, but a similar pair of glasses, and he has used it with his Switch. He has used it with his phone.
Okay.
It does have bone conduction. And I was minding my own business, and he plugged in his Steam Deck into the glasses, put on Balatro, and put it on my face. So yes, I'm biased because yes, I have sat next to that person. It was my husband. So
as the person sitting next to your partner, what is the reaction of the person sitting in the other seat?
It's fine. They look like glasses. Yes. If you're on the video stream, you can see, like, if you look at Jason, you can tell that those aren't regular glasses because they're offset from your face quite a bit.
They protrude out a little bit.
But to be honest, they're not that obtrusive. I mean, like, as long as, like,
I've seen
honestly,
much worse.
If
Seem much
someone's
worse.
staring at you long enough to figure out what's going on, they need to stop staring at you. They need to mind their own business.
Right.
Quick glances are fine. I think it's great. Like my husband really likes it, and it kind of helps. Like especially for him, if you're gaming, you don't want to be bent over, especially on a long plane ride. So it does allow him to kind of like chill out and like kind of like change position. And he likes them. I don't know what brand they are. I just messaged him. He's not here right now. I just messaged him to ask him what brand. He did preface this like, please. He when he got the box, he looked at me and he's like, "Don't judge me." And I'm like, "What? Like what?"
That's probably what I would say too.
He's like, "Don't judge me." And then
just stop.
I
okay?
watched him
I
open him
know.
up and put him in his face. I was like, "Baby, I'm not judging you.
so
They're
funny.
interesting." I don't know, Jason. When you actually have them on, I'd be curious to hear your experience because I got a little bit of not vertigo, but I wasn't used to it because of like the distance it was from my eyeballs.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
not judging.
I'm going to be curious too.
I'll be honest. I want them. I like the idea of sitting back and watching something like on a plane or something like that, and like kind of disconnecting. I also like the idea of the infinite canvas kind of work kind of scenario type thing. I would give them a test drive. I just don't want to spend money on them. So
Yeah, and I mean, you said the case is large. Actually, now that I'm kind of like pawing at these and everything, the case is actually pretty small for something that you would just like throw into your backpack and be like, oh, well, this is I've got movies loaded on here. I'm just gonna like throw it on and be in my own world, and all it does is take up this much space in your backpack.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty.
Yeah,
sweet.
my husband took them to Copenhagen, so it was a long flight. And also, I'm not judging Burke. Burke's in the chat telling me I'm judging. I'm not judging. But for what it's worth, I was up late working on my talk, and my husband to not like introduce extra glare into the room. Well, I guess that's another thing. If your partner's sleeping and you want to like
Yeah, that's a good one.
ruin, like you want to keep watching or do something, then the light from those is minimal. Like I can't tell. Like sometimes I'll come out the bathroom and he's in there with the glasses on. I'm just like, okay, not sunglasses. So anyway.
Yeah, I looked it up. It does not use bone conduction technology for the speakers. It uses dual opposing acoustic chamber design. So
Cool.
there you go. Yep. Take from that what you will.
All right.
I will. I will enjoy playing around with these. Oh, let's see. I just found another plastic. I'm finding all these films. Plastic films. Okay, we got to move on.
films indeed. All right, so Jason's gonna finish finding all the films. We're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about some apps news, and then get to some of your emails just after this. All right. Jason, unfortunately, you're up first, Mr. Ray Charles, as he puts the glasses back on.
Perfect. You feeling superstitious, my dude?
Well, so I put the glasses back on because it really ties into the next story, which is all about fashion.
Yep.
And okay, I can't do this anymore. It's getting in the way. I've got a job to do, y'all. So first of all, if you didn't know, we have a newsletter, and it's a rockin' newsletter, and our amazing writer/friend Florence Ion is writing for it. She wrote a piece in last week's newsletter that went out a few days ago. Samsung is shipping AI shopping slop. 10 points on alliteration, by the way, Flo. That's wonderful. Basically talking about this Glance AI company, which we've definitely talked about in Android lore in years past. I don't know about under Android Faithful, but...
And I will note that this topic was submitted as a patron news submission.
Oh, great.
And it was in the news because I think the embargo lifted late last week, and a lot of people were talking about this whole thing. So.
Yeah. A lot of people were talking not in positive sense. This is, Glance AI, owned by ad company InMobi. It's a partnership with the Galaxy Store, and essentially what it is, it really is a sign of the times that we live in right now with AI, where you can, as you can see, this is sort of Florence. This is an AI version of Florence's face, which looks pretty good in that kind of glassy AI sort of way, rocking some fashion. And I think even Flo was making fun in this article of some of the clothes that it put on her. And so like the images themselves, like, okay, they look reasonably realistic in that AI generative AI sort of way. But these are things that will, you opt in and they appear on your lock screen, right? Like this is this is a fashion ad, essentially, driven by artificial intelligence, that if you have a Galaxy S22, 23, 24, 25 series, you could, opt in and actually see these ads on your lock screen. And this, I'm kind of fascinated about this topic right now. It's come up in a couple of weeks, the last few weeks on one of my other podcasts, AI Inside, with Jeff Jarvis, where we're talking about all the different ways that AI is impacting industries, and realizing that the advertising industry could be the industry that is impacted so much more than anything else. If you can imagine, and I think this is kind of a starting point of it, a future where, when you're talking about like ads being tailor-made to a specific person, to do that now, you still have to, we humans, we still have to kind of build all of these assets in advance and craft and create them for a certain avatar of person that it would match to. And imagine a future where AI is fast enough and dynamic enough to create these assets on the fly in real time, completely matched with context and who you are and where you are and all this kind of stuff. And I think that's the direction that advertising is heading when you're talking about the digital realm. And this is kind of like a taste of that, right? Like, here you are on your lock screen wearing this jacket. Oh, I have to buy that jacket.
Yep.
That's such a nice jacket, So anyways, interesting stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. It got pretty beat up, pretty harsh.
Yeah, it did.
It was pretty interesting though. But so if you go to AndroidFaithful.com, you can find this copy of the newsletter. You can get this in your inbox. You can sign up directly on AndroidFaithful.com, or you can sign up directly on the newsletter page off of Android Faithful. Links are in the show notes, so if you're curious about it, but don't miss anything. A lot of people have been signing up for it. Awesome. We thank you for that.
Thank you.
Cool.
All right, so real quick, in case you were waiting for the Ask Photos feature, or rather you were using it, you might have noticed that Google, or you were waiting for it to roll out, Google actually has quietly paused the rollout of Ask Photos. Now, Ask Photos is a kind of AI powered with a very specialized Gemini model specifically for photos that allows you to kind of like do a little bit more powerful, again, a little more natural language search of your Google Photos. However, they have paused rollout, citing three main issues: latency, quality, and user experience problems. Like they pause the rollout at very small numbers, and this is very common. You kind of roll it out, and then you see what kind of, you roll out to maybe 1% of your users, see what issues you get, and if they're significant enough, then you stop rollout just to make sure that you don't, degrade the experience for anybody else. You fix the problems, then you continue rollout, or you just release a new version. So very, very common. I guess just the spicy part here is that, it's like an AI feature. And of course, Google has not had no problems with some of their AI feature rollouts. The Verge very pointedly points out AI overviews, which again was telling people to eat rocks and, recommending glue on pizza. But I don't think there's anything here other than to say, if you're waiting for Ask Photos, you'll have to wait a little bit longer while they fix it. But they're expecting maybe something better version in 2 weeks. So
no, I don't.
2 weeks.
I don't know if I got Ask Photos.
I don't think I did either.
Or not. I know I have Ask, and then it opens up to I have the Ask button in the lower right hand corner. I get the little Gemini that says, "Hi Ron, how can I help you?" And then I can search or ask a question. And I did use that recently, and I needed my license plate, and I typed in, "Show me my license plate," and it pulled up all the pictures of my car with my license plate, and it worked. So, I of course, if they if they're pulling it back, clearly they're having issues with it. But, so far my results have been okay. But that said, the other questions I've asked for Ask have been awful. Like, the results have been not great. I always switch back to classic search because it's always so much better.
Maybe for less simple things, like
for show. I was trying to find a very specific picture of my niece at Disney World in a specific years ago, and I was very specific with the query, and it gave me just garbage results, and it was just like, wow. So yeah.
Okay.
Oh well. All right. Our last story is actually a couple weeks old, but there's an interesting update. I wanted to talk about it, but I missed the show. I was sick, and then blah, 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 and then I was out. But I saw a couple weeks ago this pop up this popped up on 9 to 5 Google back in May, that someone had ported the Windows 95 Space Cadet pinball game to Android. Which was awesome. And this story actually comes up every couple of years because someone did this years ago.
I was just thinking
already.
Yeah.
And so what the latest iteration of this is that someone took the previous work and ported it in a more updated manner and put it in an APK and put it in the Google Play Store. They also put it in the Apple App Store, and they also put it up on the web. And they made it free and all that fun stuff. And so it was great. I played it. It was so cool. It works. Yay. This is actually, Jason, for our video viewers, are referencing an old episode of All About Android where we are playing the Space Cadet pinball on, I don't know what phone that is, but that is an old Android phone. What year was this from?
Oh,
No, this wasn't that long ago. This is 2 years ago.
Oh, wow. 2 years ago. Yeah. So recently. Yeah.
This is recent.
So
Interesting.
Now, what's interesting in the latest update on this is that if you were to go, oh, there's Win from 2 years ago with flatter hair.
oh,
But yeah, so it already existed on Android. Yeah, Fext was the guy on GitHub who had done this. And then now another user by the name of K Silvestri has updated it and put it out there on Google Play. Since it got picked up in the press, it got removed from Google Play, but it is still available in the iOS store. All right. So for some reason, Google, whether it's a copyright strike with Microsoft or whatever it is not available in the Google Play Store anymore. But if you want it, K Silvestri has posted it on his website, and we'll put the link in our show notes. And you can get it directly from him, and you can get the APK directly from him, and it works fine and totally cool, no problem. Really interesting. But if you actually, Jason, if you back up, if you click on Space Cadet Pinball under Remove from Google Play, he's got a whole website where you can run the game in a web browser, which is pretty neat. Basically, he's updated the code and has basically, kind of modernized the original Fext version of it. There's a thread on Reddit where he explained everything that he's done and what can be done with it. He has filed an appeal with the Google Play Store to get it back on the Google Play Store, unknown as to why they took it down. I'm guessing it's a copyright strike with Microsoft, but unknown why Apple hasn't taken it down yet. We'll see. But you can get the APK by going directly to his website if for some reason you want it. And I spent about 25 minutes playing it today when I should have been working. But I will say, as a pinball player, this is a great game.
It is.
The physics are actually very, very close to actual pinball.
Yep.
And
I played this a lot. I gotta say.
Yeah,
Same.
That was fun.
They did a very good job on this game, and a lot of the rules are similar to actual pinball. And now it actually had me thinking, there's a whole bunch of people who make it. It's called homebrew. They make homebrew pinball machines where they build physical pinball machines.
Did someone actually make this?
I want someone to make Space Cadet Pinball. I want to
that.
challenge someone to make that. Yeah. So,
why?
Yeah.
Someone's had to have tried to do that. That seems
maybe.
so obvious.
Yeah. Maybe I'll do it, but yeah.
Do it, dude.
But no, Scorbit doesn't work with this yet. But I'll get that on our roadmap.
I love it.
Yeah. So
Love
all right, cool.
it.
Well, that wraps us up for the news. And now we're gonna get to all your lovely emails because we love hearing from you all. So, Jason, you got the first email.
AndroidFaithful.com. I'm playing around with scrolling tickers on
fun.
StreamYard now because it doesn't take up as much space, so I can just leave it running. Okay,
cool.
Raven says, "Hello, Android Faithful. I was listening to last week's episode and I heard Nick's question about setting reminders with Gemini. We were all kind of scratching our head on that one. I might have set something up previously, but whenever I ask Gemini to remind me of something, it saves it to Google Tasks. While it does ask for a specific time, you can use phrases like in the morning or in 2 minutes. This will create an item at the top of your Google Tasks list. Tasks will then give me a notification reminder at the specified time. I'm not sure if this is a standard feature, but I'll send a screenshot of my interaction with Gemini so you can see how it works. Maybe not exactly what Nick was looking for, but it's very useful to me. I use it multiple times daily, or I would never remember anything. Keep up the great work, and then I can pull up.
I got it.
Oh, you got him. Oh,
Yep.
Okay. Great. There you go.
Yep. So he says, remind me to take out the trash in the morning. And then Gemini pulls up Google Tasks. It says, okay, I'll remind you to take out the trash tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. And then it says Google Tasks, take out trash at 8 a.m. And then the other screenshot is his Google Task lists. And right there, take out the trash at 8 a.m.
Nice.
And bravo, Raven, to take the time to not only send the screenshots, but also to black out his other tasks because God forbid we know what else he has to do in his day.
Yeah, we don't need to know about your other trash cans.
But thank you for writing in, Raven. You're awesome.
Thank you. That's great.
So good to know. Good to know that Gemini works with Google Tasks for all of you wanting to do stuff like that. So.
I just don't use Google Tasks. I guess I'd have to get in the habit of
Yeah,
that.
there's
then.
that. Yeah. Can Gemini connect to Todoist? That's my.
Oh, yes, please.
Is there a gem for that? Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right.
All right. Up next, Win.
All right. We got a little bit of someone writing into us about passkeys. Did you guys talk about passkeys last week? Or
We're always talking passkeys.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
from a couple of weeks ago, we were just our general ongoing confusion of passkeys.
All right. Well, Enrico has written to us about his thoughts on passkeys. You recently mentioned passkeys and your reluctance to use them. My understanding is that passkeys work similarly to SSH key pairs. Both use asymmetric crypto. With an SSH key pair, you keep your private key while the server stores your public key. Similarly, when you register with a service using a passkey, your device securely stores the private key and the service retains the public key, so no password is stored on the website. However, unlike SSH keys, where you can safely reuse the same key pair across servers, each passkey is unique to a specific service. This creates a mess and means your key pair needs to be managed. This means choosing an ecosystem, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Bitwarden, etc., and getting locked because there's no way to transfer and recreating all the passkeys is tedious. There are also other issues, i.e. shared accounts. In the end, your overall security hinges on how well your email account is protected because nearly every site offers a, quote, forgot password option. Sorry, I didn't mean to put a quote in there. Offers a forgot password option. I generally avoid use of passkeys. Enrico. Okay, how much time do we have left for me to rant about this?
I mean, Win, step on the soapbox, rant away.
Okay, so Enrico, I do agree with you on some points, but I think I was trying to find a good analogy. I think we're comparing mango cake to mango smoothies a little bit in terms of SSH keys and passkeys. So yes, indeed, SSH keys and passkeys work as you said. They're the underlying cryptographic system with the private and public key are the same. And yes, one thing that you did say is that, yes, you can use SSH key pairs in multiple you have the flexibility to use SSH key pairs for multiple services. And even because they're these two things are stored as literal files on your device, you could conceivably copy them from one computer to another. So I will say that, yes, it's depending on what you're doing, it is relatively safe to reuse an SSH key pair between multiple services in the same device. I would, for example, never copy my SSH keys, which again are just two little files that just sit on my hard drive. I would never copy, say, my personal keys over to my work computer because, and this is a thing with even password managers, right? If your machine is compromised, everything is compromised. Mm-hmm. But I would hesitate to say we should use reuse our SSH keys because I would in the case where I would conceivably copy my personal keys over to my work computer. If someone got a hold of my personal computer, then they got all my work stuff. So I do. You're not incorrect, but I would put a proviso on that. So that element of them being better, I don't think I agree with. But I think the broader thing is that yes, with passkeys, you are creating a new private public key pair for every single service, but you aren't doing that. When I use SSH keys, and I do use them for work myself to authenticate onto GitHub so that every time I push code or pull down code from our work server, I use those SSH keys to authenticate that action. Yes, that is all done by me. I would generate the SSH key. I have to go to GitHub and do the right copy pasting of everything. All of that management is done in passkeys as part of the protocol. So the passkeys aren't just that underlying cryptographic system. It's a protocol of of some provider doing all that work for you. So that part becomes kind of transparent to the user. And I would argue that's a big selling point of passkeys. I would never ask my father, for example, to do passkeys for himself, do SSH key generation and copy pasting them for himself and manage them on his own. The point of passkeys is to provide the strength of this cryptographic system, but for everyday people, not just for tech savvy people like ourselves. And I think that's a big strength of it is that it's not just, again, the cryptographic technology, but the idea of hey, let's create a protocol by which we can make it easier for everyday people to access this level of safety. Now, I do absolutely agree with you that the big sticking point of this is still the provider. We still need a manager that, again, seamlessly takes care of this stuff for us, but you have to trust Google, Microsoft, or whoever. But I would argue that's still the case also with password managers. So I agree, but I think that's just a thing that we have to just pick a password manager provider and trust them. And yes, that means that they are a single point of failure. So, I mean, I guess I'm not really making an argument for passkeys in that case, but I don't think they're any worse than the current situation that we have now. And again, if you are using like Google or Microsoft or some kind of single point of login to manage all your passkeys or regular passwords, please use multi-factor authentication for that also. It's a good point. Like if you like, and I think what you're really saying is that right now, the way that passkeys are implemented, a lot of sites have both. So the real safety of passkeys comes when that's the only way you authenticate. Right now, the way that passkeys are implemented, companies are rolling them out, but you still have your password. So if for some reason you just like someone decides to break into your account and you still have a password on there, certainly they could try to use social engineering and all the existing, middle man in the middle text, whatever, to get to your account, even though you have a passkey on it. So the passkeys are good for convenience, but they're not really making you safer. That's really fair. But I will say that this is unfortunately just part of the process. It's going to be impossible to migrate billions of people from using passwords to passkeys. It's not going to happen overnight. And unfortunately, there's no good protocol for this migration of experience, right? Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, we're in a world where people are doing things halfway, but that's because that's what we unfortunately have. As a counterpoint to that, I would say that for work, for me, I just started a new job. I actually have my work account is totally password free. It's only authenticated using passkeys. So that is just kind of like we're trying to get like the new people on using passkey only. And unfortunately, companies right now have to do, and I'll be sympathetic about this, the work of migrating people from the old system to the new system, not lock them out, but still try to encourage them to use this new system, which is safer. It is safer. Like I would rather have my struggle to get my dad right now to use passkeys than let him ignore me let him ignore the password manager that I've already installed or use the same 2 passwords that he uses for every single account. So I agree with you. It hasn't been a smooth rollout, but they are safer. And unfortunately, there's just no way to just kind of like magic wand everyone onto passkeys.
I just don't, and I hear you, and I intellectually understand it. I just don't see the value of passkeys, the campaign effectively communicating the value to average users.
I know it's not an easy thing to describe. I can just tell you it's safer. Also, they are working on a protocol so that you can export your passkeys from one provider to the other if you want to switch. And in terms of shared accounts, some providers like 1Password will let you share passkeys. Yep. But and I know, like that's just the problem is that it's technically safer, but the rollout's been shit. Excuse me, that's my one S-bomb for today. And it's just migrating huge masses of people from one technology to another is just inherently hard. And because it's a security thing, it's just hard. Like I'm mad at the way Google and other places people have rolled it out. But to be perfectly clear, I don't have any better ideas on how to get people on a safer technology, especially people like my dad.
Could you invent a replacement for passwords, please? When I think,
and especially in your spare time too. Like now you got your day job. Do it just like nice and weekends.
Yeah, totally. I'll just do it on the side. I'm sure they won't mind. Yeah. So, anyway, sorry.
I've come around a little bit on the idea of like using Bitwarden as my holder of passkey. Like that makes more sense to me now. Then the passkey isn't device dependent; it's service dependent. But I do think the portability aspect is a big question and a big concern. Like if I ever wanted to move off of Bitwarden, how the heck would I transfer them? Sounds like they're working on it from what you just said. But yeah, it's interesting that this is really meant to be. Let's simplify. Let's make passwords less annoying and simplify it for everyone. So the people who would benefit most from it are the people who are using the same 3-letter password on all of their accounts, and yet they're confused by it the way it is right now because it's early and it hasn't been rolled out that wonderfully from a communication standpoint. And so they, are the ones to benefit and they don't understand it. Even I have had a hard time understanding it, and I live and breathe technology.
It's not helping that it's not working, but just in case if you like, so people are asking if I lose my phone. So the way that my passwordless work account works is that I actually have an authenticator manager like on my computer, on my work computer, and I also have one on my phone. So there's two. And if I lose both of those, well, then I have to actually call work. So yes, that's not great, but I would also argue that at some point, if your password manager gets compromised, or you forget, like I don't know, like if your password gets compromised or you forget your password, you don't have a password manager, again, it's kind of like, we're all in the same SHIT. But no, I get it. I really do get like the animosity towards passkeys. I just feel like it's just don't think of them as passwords on steroids. So why would I ever use them? There is a good reason to use them. It's just the rule has been total shit.
This is like my head is spinning with the reversal from the ranting anti-passkeys to now you're advocating for passkeys. You're like
I always liked passkeys. I just don't like the rollout.
Yeah, true. Which hasn't changed.
Hasn't changed. But yeah. I'm also a software engineer. I know that this kind of stuff is hard.
Yeah, it is. So, all right. Well, there's a little treatise on passkeys. Email us what you think of passkeys. What do you think of Gemini and reminders or any other topic? You can email us at contact@androidfaithful.com. We want to hear from you. It's always great to hear from you. Thank you so much.
Sorry for that. I am not a security expert. I'm just someone who knows a little bit extra about passkeys, and maybe I'm wrong about something. But please, let us know. Let us know because I mean it is an evolving situation, and maybe I'm saying something not quite accurately. But that's it. Wynn just ate up all the rest of the time that we had on the show by doing a treatise. But thank you so much for joining us today on Android Faithful. It's plug time. Jason Howell, what do you want people to know about what you're doing?
Linktree.com/Jason Howell, or you can go to my not my web page. I spelled it wrong. My YouTube channel, and please go there and check out my latest video. I was up until like 2:30 last night working on it, burning the midnight oil, literally, about WWDC and the Android features that we recognize through it. So @Jason Howell on YouTube.
All right. That's wonderful. Ron, what do you want the people to know about what you're doing?
Yeah. So if you obviously can follow me on social media, I'm at RonXO around the world. But if you're looking for more stuff to listen to, head over to iFanboy. Last month's Media Explode came out. I don't think I got a chance to talk about it on the show as of yet. It's our monthly episode where we talk about movies and TV and things like that. And last month in May, we ranked the 21st century films of Steven Spielberg. We talked about our favorites because I found it very interesting, the fact that Spielberg basically is known for Jaws, Jurassic Park, E.T., Schindler's List. He had a whole career, and then if you look at his movies after Saving Private Ryan, it's a whole nother career. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. And so we just talked about the more recent ones and talked about our favorites and what worked and what didn't work and things like that. So tune in if you want to hear my top 5 Steven Spielberg movies from the 2000s.
And by the way,
my number one might surprise you.
Oh, nice bait there.
Yeah, AI.
The Pit.
No, it's not.
We finally checked out The Pit. Very, very good.
Oh, The Pit is great, right? Best show.
I need to watch that.
One of the best shows of the year.
Amazing. Yeah, really well done.
Cool.
Yep. All right. And as for me, I already talked enough. randomlytyping.com. That's where my stuff is. I'm an Android dev. I think about this stuff all the time. It's just a thing, y'all. But that's it for us. Don't forget that for the next 2 weeks, After Hours is available for everyone. So if you were curious about what on earth Meta and Yandex are doing with your browsing identifiers, or if you're really curious what is going on with your Samsung account, you should tune into After Hours, because you're going to be able to for the next 2 weeks for free, like everybody else. And after that, well, maybe you can join us as a patron and support the show and learn about wonderful stories like this in the After Hours show. But that's it for us this week. It is good to be back with y'all talking Android. And don't forget, you can subscribe to us on Pocket Cast, Spotify, Apple, whatever your pocket catcher of choice is. This podcast publishes every Tuesday evening. Don't forget to subscribe also at androidfaithful.com. If you have anything that you want to talk to us about, contact at androidfaithful.com. But that's it. Find us on the social medias, Android Faithful Podcast or Android Faithful. But that's it. We're getting closer to that 100. We'll see you next time on episode 99 at Android Faithful. Oh my God.
That got me, Jason. That was pretty good. There it was.
I'm just looking at the rundown. Okay, did I cover anything? I look over, like, oh my god, what happened?
Too funny.
So I just realized something.
What?
Well, actually, okay. Let's do title, and I will back channel you, and I'll back channel. Let's see here. So titles, af.showbot.tv. Everybody should look over the list.
116 nomenclature.
Nomenclature is excellent.
Let's see.
Android 16 Gnomenclature. Android 16 drops, shatters liquid glass. The Android really whips the liquid glass. Ooh, I like the throwback there. It's a good attempt. iOS 26, bring it on. Android 16, it's already been brought.
I like it. Very good reference.
We're waiting to be brought. Gnomenclature. The baklava dropped, kinda. Pixel Watch packing useful locks. Water lock, shack. Figuring out the nomenclature. Okay, apparently nomenclature is...
I think nomenclature is the
is a
winner
big
this
thing.
week. Something nomenclature.
It keeps coming up.
What's the number one? Was it Android 16 nomenclature? I think that's the winner.
Perfect.
Android 16
Nomenclature.
nomenclature.
Yep. That's got to be the winner.
Android 16 nomenclature. Nomenclature. Nomenclature.
Klatu. Barata.
Necktie.
Necktie.
Yes. Check Studios chat.
All right.
Y'alls. Okay, so it is Android 16 nomenclature. Necktie.
Well done, Clinton.
Okay. So, all right. So here's the deal.
Well, hang on.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know how to check the studio chat? You see on the side where it says 3 people?
Sorry. Yes. 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 Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Cool.
All right.
Sorry.
That's all
I
right.
actually read it and I was like, just not processing. I'm so sorry.
Good thinking, Jason.
I mean, it makes sense.
It goes with the whole theme.
It goes
It
with the whole
does.
theme. All right.
Yes.
So for the next, is it 3 weeks?
The next 3 weeks, yeah.
Next 3 weeks, we're doing after hours for everyone, right? And so it just kind of occurred to me, like, why not just do it live then? Yeah. So, because then you get it for the live stream too. So we will, and then I can just pull out the app. Am I pulling out the after? Yeah, I would still pull it out for the Patreon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we get. We have to discuss the actual.
Yeah, we have to.
How we're going to do it, but we'll do that offline because that's not interesting. So.
All right, that's not interesting. Yeah. But we can start after hours, and keep in mind, y'all, we've been doing this every week since we started after hours. We will continue to do it even after episode 100. You'll be able to get it if you're a patron. But for the next 3 weeks, it's kind of like HBO is free.
Yeah,
you remember those weekends where HBO was like, "Hey, you know what? Come on, watch movies."
And you know what that meant? That meant running to the store and buying the big brick of blank VHS tapes and taping as many movies as you can in that weekend.
Yes. I think maybe we've already started after hours. We'll just open it up with that because I think that's perfect. Welcome everyone to After Hours, the first of 3 free editions as we celebrate episode 100 coming over the horizon.
Yes.
What is After Hours? It's our opportunity to talk about the stories that we didn't cover from the patron pick, and then other stories that didn't quite make it, but could have if it was any other week.
And I'm on the part of the after hours dance floor where the strobe lights are on. So
I've turned my lights down because it's hot in here.
Yeah. We
So
go a little darker
lights.
on the after hours now.
Sometimes we have a drink. Tonight I have a tall water.
I always have
the fact that we rolled right into after hours from doing the previous show meant that I didn't get to go refill my glass, so I'm going without. Yeah.
Sorry, Ron.
It's okay. It's all right. We do it for the patrons. It's for the love because we've been doing it for nearly 2 years on Android Faithful, and it's awesome. So let's get into it. So we start off by going at the losers of the patron pick voting. Every week we put up 3 stories for y'all to vote on, and this week 2 stories didn't quite make the cut. And Jason, you got the first one.
And we had some stories in today's, or at least one story that was all dark and security related and everything.
Dark.
And we've got a few more of those. In fact, I'm looking at the after hours rundown, and I've got both of them. So
It's pretty bleak.
it's pretty bleak in my territory here.
Well, the thing is that's why I gave them to you, because you're not bleak. Like, so if anyone can take a bleak story and make it sunnier, it's Jason.
Yeah,
Howell,
you know how I do that? I put these on, then I read the story.
Yes.
What I need is a hoodie. Researchers discovered that Meta and Yandex are exploiting Android's browser to app communication protocols to secretly link user web browser histories to their social media entities. Ooh. You thought that your browsing was private. Think again. It works by embedding code in Metapixel and Yandex Metrica scripts. Those exist on millions of sites, and this actually allows companies to connect anonymous web browsing data with logged in user accounts. So even if you're even if you're web browsing, if you're going to lengths to anonymize your web browsing, if you are also happen to be logged into user accounts on the same browser, this would kind of feed that information through. It bypasses Android's sandboxing protections, in fact, also browser privacy modes. Apparently Meta has been doing this since last September. Yandex since 2017. Is that right? Like they've literally they figured something out that old. Did I transcribe that wrong? I'm feeling like maybe that's wrong, but I'll have to look. But anyways, nonetheless, no, Yandex began that in 2017. Meta started last September. Allows the companies to pass cookies or other identifiers from Firefox and Chromium, I'm reading from the Ars Technica article, based browsers to native Android apps for Facebook, Instagram, and Yandex apps. And so they have access to your browsing history, even if it's been anonymized or what you thought was anonymized, because they can kind of get around this. I feel like I've heard this before, but maybe with Google Chrome or something different. Anyways.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised. I can't say I'm terribly surprised by this on the Meta side of things.
No,
You know what I mean?
It doesn't surprise me, but it's still sneaky and dumb.
Yeah. But is it going to stop you from using Instagram?
No.
Right.
No.
There it is. And there it is.
I can't.
Don't
Look, it's
judge
my
us.
job.
I
Ron.
know we're in a bad
But
at
this point, it's my job to be on Instagram. I don't use Instagram just like for funsies.
right.
I don't
I
ever open
do.
up it. I rarely ever open up Instagram and like scroll through for funsies. Like I really use it for work. Yeah. So anyways, bummer on that. There you go. My other story is going to be a bummer too. So I'm a real, bundle of delight.
Okay, well, this is also not exactly a positive story unless you really, really dislike your Samsung account. According to Sam Mobile, Samsung will begin deleting accounts that have been inactive for 24 months, so 2 years, starting on July 31st, 2025. So if you had any data on there before and you were more actively using your Samsung account and you want to save it or just preserve your account, make sure you log in between now and then. But if you haven't been using it and don't care, then it's going away starting July 31st, 2025. You can delete it on your own. If you'd rather just take charge of your account deleting, you can go ahead and log in, make sure there's no data that you want to save from deletion, and then delete your account yourself. But just be aware in case you listen to this episode, you listen or watch this episode in August and you wondered where your Samsung account went, that's where it went. They were just deleting inactive ones. So there you go.
And now, is this a class of stirring the pot, trying to get people nervous about getting an account deleted, but when you're in an active account, who cares? You know what I mean? If you're, I don't know. I don't know enough about these Samsung accounts. Do you need to be active in these accounts?
You need to log in. You need to log in periodically, and it does include stuff like Samsung Cloud data, Samsung Wallet, Galaxy Store apps, and Find My Mobile information. But if you haven't been using any of that for 2 years,
Yeah. I review a lot of Samsung phones, and when I set them up, I log in most of the time because it asks me in the onboarding. But I don't know that I might do coverage of the store or something related to the store, and so I need to be logged in to do that. But if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't want to log in. I know that there's benefits, and I know there's a lot of people that would probably hear that and be like, well, you're missing out on this and that. But it's just not something that I think like, oh, I got to log in for that one thing. You know, I couldn't even tell you what that one thing is.
Right.
It's not on my radar.
It's so funny because it's like I get the Google One, like dark web results and like all this sort of stuff and like exposed passwords. And at this point, all the passwords have been exposed, stuff like that. But like so every now and then I'll look at that thing and I'll be like, oh, I completely forgot about that service or that site. Or like you think about all the times that we sign up for stuff and like the number of things that are out there. And then you think about how many of those sites and services actually do the diligence of shutting down an inactive account, right? So like good on Samsung in this case. And I know Google has been doing this with inactive, Gmail accounts and things like that, right? And so like, is this healthy behavior that more companies should be doing, right? More apps and things like that. Like what is the recommended time for an inactive account and what is the more responsible time period for this kind of behavior to happen? And should it be something that users are trained to look out for? I don't know. I'm just
I actually prefer it. Actually, this maybe not be related, but my husband messaged me this morning. He's like, I have a fraud on my debit card, and it was a charge to Quizlet.com for $35.99. I was like, baby, I just be like, baby, I trust, like, I believe you, but also, are you sure it's not your account? And all I could think was like, I bet like one of us like had Quizlet at some point, maybe in the last 10, 12 years, and we never deleted it. And then for some reason, a charge got initiated in their system for some reason, like they changed like payments, like I don't know. So yes, I agree with you. I think it makes sense sometimes. Like, and I appreciate it when companies do clean up inactive accounts.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not saying that's what happened, but it would make, if people did that more often, I'd question my husband less about it.
Yeah, it's easy to poke fun. Like my initial thought was like, oh, so Samsung realizes that a bunch of people aren't using their accounts. So they want to like force them to use it by threatening to shut down the accounts or whatever. But I think that's probably not the case. Yeah.
Right.
I think you're probably right. It's probably more a safety thing than anything.
This becomes like a privacy GDPR thing, almost kind of also too. Like you, the more user information that you're sitting on, the more exposed they're on. So is it a practice to get rid of the ones that you're at? So
that makes sense.
Simplify.
Yeah. All right. Mm-hmm. Food for thought. So those are the stories that didn't get voted on. By the way. Those are the stories that didn't get voted on in the patron vote. But there's a lot of news that goes on every week, and we can't fit it all into the show. So here's a handful of the stories that didn't make the cut. The first one coming in from the hardware world, specifically in and around Samsung, a little speculation looking towards the Samsung Galaxy S28 as the folks over at Sam Mobile get a little hyperbolic with their headline about a shocking move that Samsung might be doing. But basically, as Samsung's kind of internal mandate is towards thinner and lighter phones. Internal reporting or leaked kind of reporting or revealing that there will be no updates or upgrades to the camera system until the Samsung Galaxy S28, which is a ways out there.
It is.
So, quite interesting. So, as we're knocking on the door of the S26 is the next phone that's going to be coming out. That's at least another couple of years before we would see an update to the camera system.
Yeah, because the S26 series, unlikely to come out, anytime this year. It usually comes out like January, February.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're looking at least 2-3 years out. This is all coming from, as Sam Mobile refers to it, reliable tipster Ice Universe. Because, anybody named Ice Universe is reliable. Mm-hmm. But anyway, Ice Universe posted, and the post is gone now on Twitter, but claimed that Samsung wouldn't bring any major camera hardware upgrades for the next 2 years, speculating that the S26 will have the same camera configuration as the S25. And this is all part of an effort to get thinner and lighter phones across the board, as we saw most recently with the S25 Edge, which Jason has on his, I don't know if he has it on his person, but in his abode. And it is a very thin and light phone.
Pile of devices.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and apparently this is also lines up with the speculation that Samsung is cutting corners because they're trying to drive profit because their chip divisions are struggling, so they need to hold back hardware improvements that may depend on AI features to market their phones. So we'll see.
On one hand,
yeah.
It's hard to complain about cameras on flagship devices these days. They're pretty spectacular, no matter how you slice it. Little bits and changes here and there.
Yep.
But on the other hand, like cameras are kind of one of those things that we're so used to continual iterations and improvements and stuff. Maybe cameras are just so good that it kind of. This is Samsung's opportunity to be like, no, they're great. You remember like the Pixel camera. It remained unchanged for like 3 or 4 years. And it was like every new version of the Pixel came out. And they're like, nah, it's the same main camera. Why fix something if it's not broken? Because every year it was like, oh my God, the pictures on Pixel are amazing. That gives Samsung the opportunity to focus on other things. My question there is, if their focus is thinner, lighter, again, is that a focus that the majority of people care about? I'm not convinced that it is. Like, it's neat. Those phones are neat that they're thin and lighter and stuff like that. But, is that a trade-off that people really, really care about? I'm not convinced.
Right. That is a good question. I mean, I guess the market data will reveal, right? The sales will reveal. That's the gamble.
I'll be super curious to see that about the Edge. Yeah.
Yeah. The other aspect is that how far do we need to take the camera systems? Like how much, like the cameras
are good enough.
Yeah, they're pretty darn good. So what more can you do with them? And then if you can do it with software, why not keep the camera system the way they are and keep doing it with the software stuff? I don't know. So,
yeah.
Good questions.
Great questions.
Great questions.
Yeah.
Fantastic questions. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, if you were curious when you start seeing Material 3 expressive in the wild, well, you might be able to catch some glances of it in Google Messages as they keep expanding their Material 3 expressive redesign. So they're going to be very subtle changes because, Material Expressive is still part of Material 3. It's not an M4. It's M3. But, and this is kind of hard to really describe over the audio version. So I would go over to 9 to, because they're so subtle. Yeah, it's difficult to say, but if you go to 9 to 5 Google and check out their report on the Google Messages expressive redesign, you'll see things like subtle changes in color, a little more kind of, again, unified palette. It seems that there's a lot more emphasis on shape as well. So the shape of some buttons have changed and become a little more varied. A little more rounded corners here or there. It's different. To be perfectly frank, I'm not like bowled over. These are extremely subtle changes. I think the most interesting change might be in some of the menu for the keyboard. We'll see this you'll see a new like pill bar where they're mixing up shapes. So I think that's the most notable thing. Like that's the thing that stuck out to me most is that Material Expressive plays with shapes. So you'll see like a ellipse shaped pill amongst straight sided pills. I don't know. It's all
and then an
subtle.
Ellipse on one side and a straight on the other.
I mean, I'm not trying to like denigrate like Material 3 Expressive, but it's very, very close. But if you're kind of curious and just see what the vibe is expressive, so you can probably feel a vibe for what it is. Check that out. More visible is the change to the gallery / camera picker. So before, or rather not before, but kind of like if you have like a current version of Google Messages and you hit the little button next to the text bar that allows you to attach an image, you used to get this like sheet that had like the first thumbnail was actually a live camera preview, and then you get all your recents on your camera roll. Now you get a much more integrated experience. Now when you actually tap that picture attachment button in Google Messages, you'll get a full viewfinder camera view as well as a sheet that shows your kind of pictures. And the process has been a little bit more kind of filled in. So once you either take a picture or select a picture from your camera reel, camera roll, you'll get a little bit of an intermediary kind of screen that shows the image that you selected or took or took, either your selected image or one that you picked from your actual Google Photos, and it kind of zhuzhes up the experience a little bit. You get a chance to add a caption, and that's pretty much it. Just kind of nicely kind of rounding out experiences and using Material Expressive for a lot of these elements. So definitely check it out. Again, it's just a lot of visual changes right now and a little bit of reordering. I do rather like having the full viewfinder camera rather than having this cute but
That
little
tiny
bit
little one.
that tiny little one. I
Yeah.
mean, it's cute. It was cute for them to have the live camera preview in the sheet with the rest of your pictures, but this is just more clear. So there you
Yeah,
go.
I like having a bigger view. Yeah, because there were times where you're taking it with that tiny little thumbnail size thing, and like, am I getting the thing? Is it, you just don't know until you see it larger. But yeah, we're starting to enter. I mean, as we talked about in the main show today, Expressive not rolling out yet. Still gonna have to wait for that, right? So that'll come somewhere down the line.
Yeah,
and then you better believe as we get closer, and then on the other side of that, we've seen this so many times covering Android over the years. Suddenly, it's going to be a million news articles covering every single Google app that finally rolls out its Expressive update and everything, and we're going to be like, we probably don't need to cover all of these because, But I am curious to see the holistic view of what an Expressive kind of impact will be on the Android experience once we get there.
Yeah.
Riding in between, that's going to be kind of the painful part.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, I'd be very surprised if there were a lot of devs or teams out there that have roadmapped Material Expressive.
That's the problem,
migration.
right? How do you make it important to them?
It's not, and like the thing is, like 2 to 3 from a technical perspective was not significant. It was just a lot of grub work, like minion-y work. My husband had to do it. He was miserable for like weeks just trying to transfer all the tokens, all the names from M2 to M3. I can tell you for damn sure that he is not interested in doing it again. And it's a very small change. So unfortunately for third-party apps, I really don't see anyone road mapping this in the next half a year, for the next couple quarters. It's just such a subtle change. And we all have our own design systems. So anyway.
Yeah. Interesting.
Sorry.
It's going to be an interesting time, though, for sure.
Yeah.
It will be. And finally, Crocodilus. Crocodilus is a sophisticated Android banking Trojan. I told you I'm on the cheery beat tonight. First discovered in March, it can create fake contacts on infected devices, which cyber criminals can use to add fraudulent entries like bank support to your contacts list if you were impacted by this. As such, the systems on the device likely won't flag them when they actually call and pretend to be a trusted institution, right? So it's kind of a way around some of the on-device kind of detection that happens. It's like, oh, well, this person has this number in their contacts list, so therefore this person has chosen for this call to get through, therefore we won't flag it. And then it gets through, and they probably do the same kind of social engineering kind of work on the person who picks up the phone and be like, hey, what I need you to do is give me your password, or whatever they do to cheat people out of thousands of dollars. It uses advanced overlay attacks, key logging. There's an automated seed phrase collector that extracts wallet information. It sounds pretty nasty. So there you go. There's a Tom's Guide article that kind of talks through what this is and some strategies for staying safe in general.
So I guess, this is good to be aware of, but like the story in the main show and then this story as well, kind of these are two kind of malware things to be aware of, reminds me of the fact that I don't think about malware at all anymore.
Neither do I.
Right? And am I asking to get burned, right? Like being a Pixel user completely on the Google Play Store, Google ecosystem, trusting of Google Play Protect. And I'm sure if we were talking to Sam Bright, he would tell us, we've got all these things in place, stuff like that. But is one of these gonna slip by the goalie at some point? You know what I mean?
So Ron, how long have you been on Android, and have you ever had malware?
I mean, I've been on
That you know
Android
of.
since day one, and not that I know of.
I think that's pretty good odds that you're okay. You know what I mean? Like you've been on it for 15 plus years. You've lived your life with Android. Now, granted, we are technology minded people, and I think that's probably the difference is that we probably, whether we realize it or not, live our digital lives in more controlled, safe ways that we've learned through osmosis over the years, that people who might be impacted by this don't make those same choices and might, but maybe it is just dumb luck. But I think when you look at the data, all three have I don't think I've ever been impacted by Android malware. Have you, Win?
No, I don't think so.
So all three of us together, that's quite a data set in my opinion. It's like, okay.
Well, we are streaming this live as part of the sharing the after show with our audience.
Yeah.
Sean in the chat room said, "Knock on wood, Ron," and so I am knocking on wood very loudly.
Yeah.
Not to tempt the malware gods, but yeah, it seems pretty nice. It seems that we figured this out. But I do remember back in the day, like being worried about it, right? But we're not using outside app stores anymore. I'm rarely installing APKs from untrusted sources. Although
I don't even know that I go into the untrusted sources and
Well, I
that used
think
to be a given thing that I would do almost first on my devices. I don't do that anymore.
Well, since we do have a live audience, I think people are making a good point that we are also 3 U.S. based people who pretty much
very, very, very true.
And so I guess like Sean in the chat said, need to keep in mind a lot of overseas places, especially that sell lots of Chinese-made phones, don't have access to the Google Play Store, so malware is a bit rampant there. And actually, to relate back to the first story, that first story was malware being installed on lower end, a little off-brand devices, which presumably would be, depending on what your market is, could be more or less common than, officially sanctioned, play protected devices. So that's actually really, really fair. Thanks for bringing that up, guys.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Yep.
So.
Well,
excellent.
And that was a patron submission as well. So we had 2 patron
so
submissions tonight, the Samsung account and that one. So thank you for sending that in.
Yeah, I love the patron submissions. It's awesome. We get them all in. We absorb them. We talk. We debate what stories we put in. Yeah, exactly. So good stuff.
Yep.
So welcome to our after hours. We hope you enjoyed it. We could do this all night.
We could. But my eyes are starting to get tired, and I have to post-produce.
And my throat is starting to go.
You have no water, Ron. Ron's
no water.
Ron's in the desert island of Android.
And you know what? It's too bright in here.
Oh, look at that.
It's too bright. I need to put on some shades. Bring the level of the lights down.
All right. Well, I think that that's a sign. They're saying you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. So we're going to wrap up tonight's Android Faithful After Hours. We thank everybody. For those of you who are hearing After Hours for the first time, we hope you enjoy it. And again, remind you, if you want to join the party, head over to patreon.com/AndroidFaithful. Use code AF100 to get 20% off for a limited time. We'll be back next week with another show, another After Hours, and in 2 weeks, episode 100. So until then, we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Oh, yeah.
We'll keep that whole bit in. Just the whole bit.
The whole thing.
Whole thing. I did turn on my color chaser. Isn't that cute?
Love it.
I
love the darker light. I was thinking I probably need to start doing that for After Hours too.
I turned on effects. There was fireworks, but I didn't want to give you guys seizures.
Turn down the lights. That I should have done that. This actually doesn't hurt my eyes the same.
No, it's nice. It's gotten 10 degrees cooler in here.
Yeah, right. That too.
Okay.
All right, y'all. Right. Thank you, everybody. That was a lot of fun. The next couple of weeks, we'll do this little extended thing. You'll get a taste of it, and maybe you'll be won over by our amazingness.
Yeah. All right. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Good night.
We'll see y'all soon. Take care.